Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Ask Me Any Stock section, guys. If you guys can see and hear me, I think some of you have already joined us. Just type a GM for good morning. Let me know if this is working. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being early as well. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. Let me just go to call out your name. All right. Let's see who is here today. Hi, Helen. 恭喜发财. Yes, definitely, right? 恭喜发财, everybody. Happy New Year to all of you. All right, good morning. Hi, Andy. Good morning as well. Let's see. Good morning, John. Good morning, Brandon. Edward, morning. Happy Lunar New Year. Yes, first thing first, this is the very first session, I would say, in the new Chinese New Year of 2026. So first thing first, we want to wish all of you a blessed, happy Chinese New Year 2026. All right, 恭喜发财, 身体健康, 万事如意. And maybe Bobby and Z, you can say some, nice phrases as well.
The one that I heard the most frequent this year will be the 马上发财 because it's the year of the horse.
Yeah. So 祝大家马上发财, ma ni 多多也是. And Bobby, you anything?
I don't know. I only heard the only one that I heard since coming back was 马上有钱. I don't know how to 马上有钱 unless you buy a lot of Toto lah. Yeah, all right. So, but I wish everyone, those who are, doing businesses, I think is 生意兴隆, right? All right. Then I don't think anybody need to 步步高升 already, right? I think everybody is fine in that aspect. So, but okay. So I think let's begin today's session, I guess.
Yep. So yes, blessed New Year to all of you. Thanks for joining us in the very first session of the new year. All right, and let's go ahead to get started on today. Ask Me Any Stock session. Today we'll be looking at the Singapore market, right? So if you're looking at Singapore stocks, right, you're scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, well, you are in the right place. And would it be okay, guys, if you help me to like and share? Help me to like and share. And of course, if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, even on our Facebook page, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. All right. Thank you so much. That was where we can reach out to more people. How about to give a bit of heart shapes, a bit of likes at the bottom right? I think there's a button, right? How about like and share? Thank you so much. All right, hit the like and share button. Thanks for all the heart shapes and love. Awesome, right? Okay, very good. So let's get started, right? So in our weekly Friday AMAS session, what happens is that we do a quick market outlook, right? We'll cover the Singapore stocks that you would like a quick opinion on. So I think some of you are already typing in the name of the Singapore stocks that you would like a quick opinion on, right? So very good, right? And I appreciate all of you who is typing in the name of the stocks, right? You're actually giving us a bit of context as well, right? So when you type in the name of the Singapore stock, right, it would be good if you can give us a bit of context, like what are you looking to do with this stock? Are you looking to buy? Are you looking to sell? What price do you get in? You bought last week, last month, 10 years ago? I don't know, right? So give us a bit of context so that when we analyze the stock, it's a bit more personalized to you, all right? I think that's where you can get more value as well. Make sense? All right. So that's what we'll do. All right. And that's what we'll prioritize as well for those of you who give us a bit more context rather than just one name there, like, DBS, like, what you want to know about DBS, right? So give us a bit of context. That will be very, very helpful. Okay. So at the end, right? At the end, guys, that's where we will share with you, me, Bervin, and Z will share with you one top Singapore stock that you can put in your watch list as well, right, for potentially more upside, right? So make sure you stay all the way to the end if you want to know some of the top Singapore stocks that has been in our watch list, I would say, over the past couple of months, in fact, maybe even into last year as well, and it still looks good, right? We had a couple of bullish signals coming out on my indicator, the One Good Trend Pro indicator, so that's where you could take a look at it as well, right? So later when we look at your stocks, what happens is that I'll be using my One Good Trend strategy, right? And the One Good Trend or the One GT Pro indicator, right? To analyze your stock. So for those of you who have not met me, right? You're kind of scrolling through Facebook. Well, my name is Joey Choy, top tier MyZeal trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing this for more than 15 years now, right? Focusing on mainly stocks. Singapore stocks, US stocks, a little bit of Hong Kong stocks, and stocks is pretty much my forte, right? And we use the One Good Trend strategy whereby, in a matter of seconds, we can use a tool to guide us on entry and also exit as well. So later I'll share more about it, right? Today, we don't have time to talk about the entire strategy, right? But later when we analyze the stocks, that's where we'll dive into it step by step, right? And I want to share with you guys as well that today, today's show is brought to you or is sponsored by SocGen, right? By SocGen, one of my partners, and also SocGen is daily leverage certificates product provider, DLCs in short. So later we'll share a little bit more on DLC, maybe on some of the stocks that you guys were asking about as well. And so how, you can actually take a position using DLC on those stocks that you asked, or maybe, our bonus stock, right? And you could actually achieve what we call a higher return, right? It could multiply your ROI on that same underlying stock, all right? And that's what DLC can do, all right? There's a product that's listed on the Singapore Exchange as well. So this is sponsored by SocGen. Later we'll touch a little bit more about DLCs, all right? Okay, so let's get started right now. And I want to introduce my team member as well, right? Today we have with me Z and Bervin. So I'm just going to introduce Z first, right? So Z, I would say one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities, also assisting our one-on-one sessions from mentees, our group coaching calls for our graduates, and also assisting our team's portfolio manager with a 7-figure portfolio management business, right? And Z is I would say an expert in charts, right? She is a chartered market technician, CMT holder. Basically, what does this mean? Well, she is the go-to person for technical analysis, anything to do with charts, right? Candlestick, patterns, price action, right? She's the expert. I do consult her as well on certain, price actions. Of course, she's very well versed in the entire One Good Trend strategy and the One Good Trend Pro indicator that all of us will be using later to analyze your stock. So maybe let me just pass it maybe chat a little bit on herself, right? Z, go ahead.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Joey, for the introduction. So basically, to summarize what Joey actually mentioned, I just kind of look at chart a lot, right? And hopefully today during the session itself, we will look at Singapore stocks, right? And hopefully we'll be able to spot some beautiful charts here and there. And with just a click of a button, right, I think that's where, you guys can also try it out yourself, right? Because that is the indicator that Joey actually developed called the One Good Trend indicator, right? With just a click of a button, you can see a bullish or bearish signal, and that will be able to help you to give you, some sort of confirmation, additional confirmation, right, to help you make your decision easier, lah. So that is something that we hope we will be able to add value to you guys for the next, I think probably 1.5 to 2 hours, right? And I think I saw a comment, right, by Yatri, right, saying congratulations, Joey, sponsorship deal. I think we have come a long way, right? Because I think we have been doing this AMAS for I think since the start of 2025, right?
Yeah.
This is the
More than
first
a year
time that we actually have a sponsorship deal. So hopefully, along the way, there's more sponsorships coming in. And if you guys want any sponsorship, right, you can actually just reach out to Joey directly. Yeah. So without further ado, I think I'll pass the time back over to Joey so that he can introduce Bervin as well.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Yeah, so this is kind of the first time we're doing a sponsorship deal. All right, so just to add a little bit of value, to share a little bit of awareness as well. All right, and so thanks to our sponsor to sponsor the very first AMAS show for the year. All right, and so the first session for the new Chinese New Year. Right. Okay, so let me go ahead to introduce another team member, Bervin as well. Bervin, I think, has been away for the past 2 sessions, right? Bervin, okay, so let me just share with you a bit of Bervin. Bervin, I would say, same thing, right? One of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities, assisting our group coachings, doing our one-on-one calls with our mentees. And Bervin, I would say, is an expert in not just technicals, right? But also, fundamentals. Why? Because he is what we call a chartered financial analyst, CFA holder, right? Those of you who are in the finance or the banking space, this is one of the highest qualifications, right, that anybody can ever get, right? And of course, Bervin is also assisting our team's portfolio manager as well, running a 7-figure portfolio with our team, all right? And one of the person I do consult as well on certain stocks fundamentals, right? So Bervin, maybe back to you, right? What have you been up to over the past 2 sessions? Why were you away? Anything that you can share with our audience over here, Bervin?
Wow, thanks, Joey, for the introduction. Yeah, so like what Joey said, I've been away for the last 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks, taking a break. Went to Jeju to do a little bit of hiking, a little bit of running. First time experiencing a blizzard up in the mountain while hiking. Not very fun. I would not suggest it. It's not very safe. So if there's a PSA warning to tell you that there's a blizzard, do not go hiking. Not the best thing to experience first thing in the morning. All right. So I think this year, I think so far it looks like the market seen the past few days a little bit more volatile. Singapore market has been doing surprisingly well, very, very resilient. All right, galloping into the new year, all right, especially if you look at it that way. But I would say, right, we have been doing this AMAS for past 1 year. All right, so this is the first sponsorship deal by SocGen for Joey. Right, so of course we look to continue to provide more and more and more value to you guys. We hope to be doing this AMAS, another year, another 2 years, 3 years. As long as you guys keep coming back, we will continue to provide you guys value. All right, so I think stay tuned. Today, I think it'll be quite interesting for those of you who are not really very familiar with other listed products in the Singapore exchange. I think DLCs will really, really interest you, I would say. All right, back to you, Joey.
All right, thank you so much, Baby. I hope you had a great holiday, great break. Welcome back to our AMAS session, right? Okay, so very good. Yeah, so what happens, guys, as I say later, we will cover the Singapore stocks that you guys will be asking about, right? And we've been doing this for more than a year now. So thank you so much for those of you who have been joining us. We look forward to add more value. And these sessions, right? This Friday weekly session, you can see that it's just to add value, guys. There's really nothing for us. It's just to share our expertise, and what we've been doing every day for the past, for me, more than 15 years, right? So just to add more value, all right? To make sure all of you learn something, take away something, and that's the goal, right? So if you have got some value, right, thank you so much. That's what we really want as well. Okay, so just a quick disclaimer, right? Whatever that's being shared in our weekly session, our live stream session, is just for education purposes only. All right, it's not to ask you to buy or sell anything, right? Please do your own due diligence, do your own homework, right? We're just sharing with you our process, our framework, the tools that we're using, all right, and hopefully give you a little bit of an opinion, all right, and hopefully you can make your own decision as well, whether to buy or to sell. Does it make sense? All right, so just a quick disclaimer. Now let's go to get started right now and cover maybe on the markets. Type of M for market, guys. If you want me to cover maybe the Singapore market, all right, type M for market. Let me know. Type M for market. And we're going to cover the STI, right? Let me know, right? How many of you want me to cover the market very quickly, like maybe the Singapore's Straits Times Index, right? Good morning, right? So long, good to see you here as well. Hi, Ivan, Tina, hi, Claudia. I think a lot of new, audiences coming. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to this live session. Thank you so much, Stephen, Glorio, Jason. Appreciate some insights. Awesome. So let's take a look at the market right now. This is the Singapore's Straits Times Index, the STI, right over here, and it's live, right? It's live. It's 5,004.54, not 0.22, not 0.16, right? It's going up and down, right? It's live, right? It's live. Okay, so basically, this is the STI right over here, and let's go to analyze it right now. Are we looking at a bullish what year in 2026, right? Like what people say, 马上发财, 马上, right? Are we looking at that? Could there be more upside? Or maybe you want to 马上小心 also, right? So what is it? Well, let's take a look at it right now. You can see that for the STI, we have been covering it since last year, right? And if you have been following our weekly AMAS session, I've been bullish, right? Since last year, I would say April, May, June. Right over here, you can see we saw a very strong V-shaped recovery from April after the Trump tariffs. There were some developments that were being announced by the Singapore's government, right? The Equity Market Development Program, whereby $5 billion of funds have been earmarked into the Singapore equity. It's slowly flowing, right? Since last year, we have seen positive sentiments, and these funds are slowly, all right, flowing into the Singapore equities market, right? And we're still seeing it this year, right? Even as we began 2026, like right over here in 2026, right? In fact, on the first week, right, we broke like the 4,600 resistance level and started to push higher as soon as 2026 actually began. All right, so very strong. It still looks very bullish. And let's take a look at it from the technical analysis in terms of the one good trend strategy. From the one good trend strategy that I've been using for more than 15 years now, right? First of all, we always focus on the trend of not just the stock, but also on the market. So you can see quite clearly, right, that the longer term trend for the market has been up. It is still up, right? We look at the 100 days moving average, the red line, pointing up. The blue line is the 200 days moving average, obviously still pointing up. So the long-term trend is up since quite long. I think about 2024 already up already, right? And it is still up. So as long as the red is above the blue, both pointing up, very strong longer-term uptrend. Now, doesn't mean the long-term trend is up, means we just anyhow buy, right? We also want to only get in when the short-term trend is also up. Does it make sense about? Right? So that brings me to the next question. Hey, how do you tell the short-term trend? Well, very simple. You can see that there's another line right here, which is the green line. So since May last year, right, when we rebounded from the tariffs, government announced, MAS announced some, measures to spur the entire Singapore equity market, right, to revival measures, right? You can see that the green 20 days moving average line started to point up, right? Up gently, up even more, up gently, up. And I think it is still up. Does it make sense about? All right, so the long-term trend is up. And also the short-term trend is up. It is still up as of now. So I would say that in terms of the trend, first of all, we are in a very good move for the entire Singapore STI, because all the trend indicators are aligned, right? The long-term trend and the short-term trend is up. And these are kind of like two confirmations that we seek out of the entire strategy. We have 7 confirmations. I don't have time to cover everything today, right? But essentially, these are the kind of like the 2 important considerations, factors that we actually seek for as well, right? So trend must be up. Now, let's go to turn on the very first box right away. So I have these 2 called the One Good Trend Pro indicator, right? In the matter of seconds, for any stocks, any asset classes, even the market, right? This is the STI, also can, okay? We turn it on, boom, all right? It gives us bullish green signals or bearish red signals in seconds. So if you see like a red color one coming out like yesterday, then, better don't go and buy, be a bit more patient, right? But you see a bullish green signal coming out, that's where we could start to see a bit more momentum. There could be signs of a reversal. Does it make sense about, right? So I've turned it on. Of course, I can turn it off, confusion, don't know what to do, blur already, right? But turn it on, and in seconds, you know what to do, right? And this is what we'll be doing later for your Singapore stocks. Hopefully, it's a green one, then you bought it, then even better, all right? So let's take a look at the market very quickly, right? You see that, well, it's not always green all the way. Sometimes it's got red. Like you can see right over here, we got a bearish signal in July, came down maybe 1 week, a bearish signal in October, maybe went sideways for 1-2 weeks, right? But every time, this was in April, right? We got a bearish signal that was in 4th of April when Trump introduced the reciprocal tariffs, and it escalated between US and China, right? Well, a bearish signal, it starts going down all the way. A new bullish signal came in, all right, coupled with the trend indicators all pointing up, all the way up. Same thing, another bullish signal. There we go. And the most recent bullish signal that is still in play right now would be the one in November, to be exact, is 6th of November last year. So November, now is December, January, February, about 3 months already. In case you're still wondering when, it's quite long already. It's like November, not yesterday, not last week, okay? November, the bullish signal have came out, right? Trend indicators were all up, and you can see that led to more upside momentum pretty fast. From this bullish signal, you can see, right, it was like resting a bit, right, boring, right? The bullish signal came out, what happened? Pump, all the way to now, Make sense? All right. So that is how we get an added confirmation, right, from that bullish signal that just gives us that bonus, high conviction entry or trade setup to if you're thinking about buying. All right. So looks pretty good, right? Let's take a look at a very key level that I want to share with you right now. Is to see. So we had a bullish signal, right? Long-term trend is up. Trend indicators are all positive. However, over the past 1 to 2 weeks, I want to bring your attention. In fact, I think 2 weeks back, we talked about this level, right? The 5,000 psychological resistance level. You can see, right, over the past 2 weeks, every time we near 5,000, right? In fact, I think on last Thursday, right, we neared it, right? We went above it, but the US market was slightly weaker. Next day, sold off. Same thing, STI sold off as well. The next day, we went back down below the 5,000, right? So 5,000 is a very key level. In fact, right now, it's 5,003, right? 5,004, right? So it's like, like today high is what? Today high is 5,024. So actually, you went to a high Look at this, right? It went to a high of like 5020, 5024, and then sellers came back and start to push down again. So a bit of weakness in the market today. All right, we're seeing some selling in some of the blue chips. Later we can talk about it, but seems like this 5,000 is a little bit hard to navigate. We're still attempting to break that barrier, that key level. We need to see more firm price action, some really bullish candlestick, and maybe holding above that 5,000. So don't go up and come back down, not counted, right? Hold above it, you close above it, you stay above it, and you get some bullish candlestick above it. Now, best. Right, but now it's like a bit here, a bit there, don't really know what it's doing, right? But I would say it's still trying to navigate this 5,000 psychological resistance level, right? So maybe 5,000 to 5020, that could be kind of like a little bit of a zone whereby some sellers are still coming back, right? So it's still okay. Doesn't mean when we see a resistance, or means it's going to crash and down, right? No. It just means that as we approach that level, that's where some selling can actually come back again, right? But doesn't mean the trend is going down or it's going to reverse all the way down. No. It just means that as we approach there, some profit taking can come back. That's it, right? That's what it means, right? We're still bullish, just that at that level, we need to break first before the next phase of upside can continue, right? And maybe I can share with you guys also a little bit of the support that came up for the entire market. Right over here, it used to be about 4,900, but I think right now, quite clearly, I think 4,920, 4,920 has came out as a bit of a support, right? A bullish reversal candle, rebounded. Same thing, we sold off on Monday, right? Before Chinese New Year reunion, right? Sold off. We actually got a pretty bullish candle. Next day, on Thursday, yesterday, it rebounded, right? So 4,900 to 4,920, that's where we are seeing some good support for the entire STI. Right? So I think not too bad, right? Hopefully we see that break of 5,000 very clearly. If that happens, I can say things will start to move even faster. It can be even quicker. We could see more upside momentum fast. Targets could then be revised all the way to 5,200, maybe even to 5,500. All right, so this is the STI. So I think next 1-2 weeks will be pretty crucial. We'll be looking to see how how the market performs, how some of these banks, all right, that is kind of like leading the market will also perform. All right, are they pushing the market higher, or are they causing the market to sell down as well? That's what we're looking at as well. Okay, so this is the Straits Times Index. Okay, now very simple. Now let's go on to the next segment of today's show, whereby we'll be looking at the Singapore stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. So very quickly, guys, let me go ahead to just look at the chat right now and pick the very first stock for today, right? The very first stock for today as to, let's see, right? So let me just pick the very first stock for today, right? So go ahead and type in the chat, guys. Type in the chat the Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on. Give us a bit of context. I think a lot of you are already typing in the chat, giving us a bit of context. All right, let me just go to cover the very first one. All right, okay, very good. Let's see. Okay, so the very first stock for today, I would say, okay, let's do maybe Edward. All right, Edward, CSE. Let's see, right? CSE, I believe you're talking about CSE Global. All right, one of the stocks that we covered since last year. Pretty strong. I think not too bad. I think we had a couple of bullish signals. We actually sent out a note to our clients in Philips Securities as well a couple of weeks back. So not too sure whether you're a client, but if you're a client, you probably receive these ideas by WhatsApp on a daily basis, right? So let's take a look at what Edward is asking. CSE bought at 0.40. Okay, let me pull out CSE for CSE. I think CSE Global, right? Where is it? There we go. Right over here. Okay, there we go. CSE Global. So let's get to turn off the bullish and bearish signal. So this is CSE Global, $1.33. Okay, let's see. CSE bought at 40 cents. Wow. Now it's $1.33. You bought at 40 cents. Then you confirm make money already. Wow, congrats. That means you bought over last year, is it June? All right. Sold half at 82 cents. Or you sold over here half lah. Okay. Well, you see wasted. Sold already, then go up some more. Never mind. Okay. Is it time to sell or accumulate more for further upside? Very good question, right? So Edward, you got some at 40 cents. You're making money. It went up a bit to 80 cents, which is like almost double. You sold some. It went up a bit more to $1.34 right now. Question, should you sell? Or wait, don't sell. Maybe you can go up some more, right? Or maybe even think of buying more, all right? To ride the upside and maximize your profits even more. Let's go ahead to find out. So this is CSE Global, one of the stocks that we've been covering, I would say, since last year. As I say, if you want to get like this stock, CSE Global, I think we actually sent out a note to our clients in Phillip Securities by WhatsApp. How many of you are clients of mine in Phillip Securities? Just let me know. Type a C for client, guys. If you're a client of mine in Phillip Securities, just want to thank all of you, acknowledge you as well. Let me know if you're a client of mine in Phillip Securities. Type a C for client, let me know. Pinky, the Miffy, thank you so much. A client of mine, Ho Kitson as well. Jason, Lim, Jared, Brandon as well. Vincent, Ricky, thank you so much. All right. Client. Celia, definitely. Thank you so much, Steven. All right. So we have a lot of clients over here. I think some of you may not be a client of mine. Maybe you're on my email list. Maybe you're just scrolling through YouTube and Facebook. But essentially, guys, just want to share because in case I forget, if you are not yet a client of mine, like many of our clients over here, right? Find out how you can become a client, right? Why? Well, essentially, if you want to get some of those ideas by WhatsApp daily for free, like CSE Global, I think we've been covering since like last month or something, right? Even a few weeks back, we sent out a note, it went up even higher, right? So if you want to get some of those ideas daily by WhatsApp, right? Not normal WhatsApp, for free and no additional cost. Check out how to become a client of mine in Phillip Securities. You do not pay anything more, just to be sure, right? It's the same as whatever you pay when you're trading. I mean, I don't know what your broker is doing, but if your broker, like no service one, no idea, no WhatsApp, no training, nobody call you, all right, you own self log in, own self choose become one stock, then I think you find out how you can become a client, right, for free and no additional cost. The link is right in the chat. Thank you so much for those of you who are clients. Really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for joining us as well. And and we hope that we've given you value in these daily ideas that we shared. Not just the ideas, right, but also trainings, YouTube videos that we share. You get it on priority access as well. All right. So very good. Those of you who are not yet a client, link is right in the chat. Can you just place the link in the chat again? I think it's kind of like hidden or moved up already. All right. So let's take a look at the stock right over here, CSE Global. I think those of you who are clients can check our WhatsApp. I think I probably sent out a note on this stock a couple of weeks back, right? Okay, CSE Global. So back to your question, Edward, right? Is it time to sell all or maybe buy even more? So before I answer your question, very simple. Let me go ahead to turn on the 1GT Pro indicator, all right? In terms of the bullish and bearish signals. There we go. So you can see that for this stock, well, it has been in our watch list since last year, right? Not because we just like this stock, randomly out of nowhere, but we actually had a couple of bullish signals coming out right over here. So last year, June, right over here, all right, we actually got a 1GT bullish signal. I think that was where, Edward, I think you mentioned you bought 40 cents. I'm not too sure whether you saw this signal at about 40 cents. I mean, if you saw it, then good, right? So not too bad, all the way up, all right? And we got a bearish signal, it went down, right? A few days later, we got two bullish signal, and you can see that was when it started to rally even higher, right? From 22 October, it was like about 70 cents, all the way up to now. I would say it is 85%, all right, in about 4 months. Pretty impressive, right? Not too bad, right? 85% in 4 months. So everybody might be thinking, wow, 85% a lot already, right? Time to sell all, right? Because maybe it's going to come down, right? Well, later we'll find that out, but I think it still looks pretty bullish, right? So we got bullish signals coming out, clients related by WhatsApp. So I would say that overall it looks still good, right? The long-term trend is up. The green line, obviously, it is pointing up. If you ask me, right, in like maybe December, right, November, we were actually consolidating, right? So I think it took some profit right over here. It sold half, right? Nothing wrong. I mean, to take some profit along the way, I think that's fine. But I can see somewhere around here in November, December, we were actually consolidating below the $1 level. It's a psychological resistance level. We're trading below it, right? So it was a bit boring. You can see the green line also started to flatten out, right? It was up and it flattened out. It means it's a sideways consolidation in the short term. However, we got another 1GT bullish signal as we broke the $1 psychological resistance level. The green line then started to go from sideways to up as well, right? So that's where we started to move from $1 all the way to $1.33 right now in about a month, right? So it looks bullish, right? Especially, so this could be a more aggressive entry, right? If it breaks the $1, you get other confirmations. It's a pretty good bullish candlestick as well. We can take a look at things like volume as well. Well, it could be a more aggressive entry to actually add more positions. So one thing I want to share with you, Edward, is it's good that, most people who have positions and the stock have moved up, most people, their mindset, right, would be what? Would be to sell, right? Because you already bought one, right? Go up, then you would think like you want to sell, right? Most people would not want to think about buying. Why? Because you buy, go up. Now you buy, it's like more expensive there. Like you look like a bit stupid, right? Like, you buy more expensive, then you should buy more that time, right? So most people will be thinking about selling, all right, to take profit, to get out, right? When is a good time to sell? But the pros, all right, are actually thinking about adding more positions, right, to ride the upside even more, right? Even though they have bought it like, last month or last year or whatever, right? It looks good. There are bullish signals. You can still buy some more, right? Why? So you can maximize your profits along with the trend, right? And that's what the pros are doing. And I want to affirm you for that, because that is a good thing to consider, right? Not just about selling, but if the stock is good, then why must sell? Right? Can think about buying more, ma. Does it make sense? All right. So that's what I want to share with you guys as well, right? So that's a mindset, or kind of like the framework that the one good trend strategy focuses on as well, right? If it's a winning stock, the stock that is good in terms of the trend direction, in terms of the confirmations we need, we can still add on to that winning position, right? While allowing it to ride even further. And also while taking steps to protect the profits, right? Your profits. And that's what you could do, right? So for CSE Global, I would say that, it looks good, right? It looks good. We have broken what we call the $1 psychological resistance over the past one over week. It seems like $1.20 psychological resistance level has given way as well. In fact, like today, it seems like 130 resistance has given way as well. So we are like kind of like consolidating, boom, consolidating, boom. All right, consolidating, boom. Right, so it consolidates like about a 10-cent range each time. It breaks and it starts consolidating. So right now, I would say $1.30. If I can draw it for you, that could be, right? It's only 2 days, all right? So that could be what we call a horizontal support level right away. So if you're looking to accumulate on dips, I think that is a pretty good. I mean, if it stabilizes above 130 over the next few days, maybe up to next week, right? That could be where some bargain hunting can come back again. And what you can do is very simple, right? If you are thinking of buying, you could also turn on what we call the 1 GT Pro indicator in terms of this very powerful feature called the trailing support level. Right over here, let me turn it on, right? There we go. So you can see that when we had these bullish signals coming out in October, all right, a trailing support actually popped up. Okay, let me just go to turn off the moving averages so it's a little bit clearer. Something like this, right? So the trailing support actually popped up. It is below the price. It follows CSE Global as it move higher, right? Up, flat, all right? You can see in November, December, it didn't really move up, right? So nothing to follow, so it just flattened out. But as it broke the $1 psychological resistance level, the trailing support also started to follow it up, flat, follow. Now it is right over here, around $1.18 over here, right? So as long as we are above the trailing support, it still looks good. It still looks bullish. You could ride it even more, on dips, even near the trailing support. So trailing support, right, give the stock the space to breathe, right? It allows it to move freely while accounting, right, for the volatility of the stock. So as long as you're above it, you're fine. So you can see it's slightly lower, right? This trailing support, slightly lower compared to the horizontal support at about 130. Why is it lower? Why? Because as I say, the trailing support gives the stock space, right? So if it does near the trailing support, or maybe near 120, I don't know whether it will go down, but it seems like quite strong. But if it does near 120, that's where some bargain hunting can actually come back as well. But if it doesn't near it, all right, if it stays above the 130 still, and buyer starts to come in already, right, then you might have to get in a little bit higher, right, near or above 130, all right, to ride it even higher, all right? And stop loss could be placed below the trailing support. So what happens is that this trailing support, one of the very powerful feature of my One Good Trend Pro indicator, we could have a stop loss below it, right? Just below it. Let's say it's 118, we could put like 113, something like this right over here, right? Just to protect the downside, right? So in case if the come back down, it goes below the trailing support, it uses up all the space that we have given it, right? And then not so good, That's why we could have what we call a bearish signal. That's where you want to be careful. That's where you don't want to buy. You want to be patient. You want to maybe get out, reduce some exposure, stop loss. All right. And that is how we could place this stop loss level below the trailing support level. All right. So this is CSE Global, the very first stock for today. I think it looks pretty good. It looks bullish. Good thing, Edward, that you're thinking about adding more positions to ride that winning position that you had already. All right. And hopefully you can see even more upside. All right, as we hit further into 2026. Okay, Ken, so this is CSE Global, one of the Singapore stocks, one of the Singapore stocks that we shared with our clients in Philips Securities by WhatsApp a couple of months back, or a couple of weeks back. Those of you who are not yet a client of mine in Philips Securities, the link is right in the chat again. Check it out, so to get some of those ideas for free daily at no additional cost. All right, Ken, so let me pass on the mic to Bervin, all right, to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervin, all yours.
Right, thanks, Joey. Okay, let's go very quickly. The next stock. Hi, Jason. Hopefully you're still here with us. Okay, appreciate some insights on FAST. I think you mean IFast, right? Okay, so average price at $9.88. All right, so on my screen right now, we have IFast. All right, so what really jumps out to me on IFast is that we have a 1GT bearish signal. All right, 1GT bearish signal that had showed up on the 4th of Feb right there. So Jason, I'm not too sure you bought before somewhere in January or after somewhere in February. So if you are still here, maybe you can let me know, because typically we see a 1GT bearish signal. Like what Joey said, you want to be a little bit more patient, don't want to rush in to buy. Furthermore, because there is weakness, you have that 20 days moving average really starting to point out if you have bought in the last few days. So can be a little bit dangerous. All right, can be a little bit dangerous. You typically want to be a little bit more cautious first. If you see a 1GT bearish signal, you want to wait for a little bit of stabilization. And furthermore, that was very close to what I would say was the $10 psychological level, right? $9.88. If you have bought in multiple batches, maybe that is why your cost price is $9.88. But if you have bought all of the shares at $9.88, that is another sign that could be a little bit more dangerous, something that we do not typically like to do, buying close to a resistance, because that is where sellers would like to come in. All right. So, but previously for IFast, showing some rather good strength again, right? After breaking the 850 level, consolidated, just moving between the 850 to $10 range, a little bit of a higher support above that $9 level, what I've drawn previously. And in January, mid of January, I would say it broke above, finally breaking above that $10 level. Didn't last very long as sellers quickly came in to take profits very close to that $11 level again. All right, so I think right now, I think we want to be a little bit more careful. Right, although we still see that 100 days, 200 days moving average still above each other, but you can see that the red line, the 100 days moving average, has already started to flatten out. All right, that 200 days moving average very close to that previous key support level of $8.50. All right, so I think these are the key levels that you want to watch out for. The immediate support, temporary support, Jason, right around that $9.20. All right, you definitely do not have a trailing support like CSE Global. CSE Global was uptrending. You have multiple 1GT bullish signals. In the case of IFast, you have a 1GT bearish signal. 1GT bearish signal. So in that case, of course, we would like to ideally, cut loss when we see that 1GT bearish signal come in, that $10 level actually broken already. You do not want to buy. You're actually thinking of selling, locking up some of those capital, locking up some of those profits if you have bought previously. But right now, you already have a position. So no choice. What is the next key level you want to watch out for? You want to watch out for that $9.20 level. You want buyers to come in, buyers to defend this 920 level. You want to have alerts being set up under 920, all right, or maybe even just a stop limit order being set up under a 920. Maybe about 3 to 5 bits will do so 920, then maybe about 915 like that, or maybe 914, 916. I think that's a good level for you to actually place some stop limit orders. Get out. Don't let prices, head back down to 850, then sian, never sell at when prices broke that previous support. All right. So there is nothing wrong. All right, there is nothing wrong to take a loss. The wrong part is not taking a loss. Right? Not being able to accept the loss is the issue, because you will then have your capital being stuck in the shares, for a few weeks, few years. Then some people, never mind, a whole few years already, never hold a few more years is okay. End up it becomes a legacy stock. You do not want for that to happen. You want to be able to continuously reposition yourself. All right, so I think immediately we can see 920 being tested, if weakness continues to, persist for IFast. But the immediate resistance would be around that $10 psychological level. So if we are able to rebound, consolidate a little bit, see a lot of buyers coming back in, head back higher towards that $10 and then eventually break above it, come close to it, that is when potentially you will see that trailing resistance start to hit a bit lower, flatten out as well, and then that would be a good sign that stabilization is there. 20 days moving average will definitely show that it will start to flatten out. All right, so I'm not too sure if you have managed to see the 1GT bearish signal previously. All right, or you have access to Joey's 1GT Pro indicator to have that trailing support, trailing resistance lines available for you. But if you don't, I think we have Joey have very kindly provided a 1GT Lite. All right, so what's a 1GT Lite? The 1GT Pro has the trailing support, trailing resistance, and many of those other features like your risk management tables, so on and so forth. But the 1GT Lite, I would say, is a very good starting point. Get yourself familiarized with that 1GT bullish, bearish signals. If you see a bearish signals, definitely don't think of buying. If you have a position, think of protecting your profit. So I think he have provided a trial. I think Z very kindly placed the link in the chat already for 14 days free trial. You can cancel it at any point of time. Just go in, click on the link, sign up for the 1GT Lite trial. So what do you do for IFast right now? You have a position, breaks under 920. Definitely first thing first, don't go and buy. Don't buy any more first. Take a back seat. Wait to see that 920 gets tested, defended. If it breaks below, consider a stop loss plan. However, if you see a prices rebound, I do not think you will be immediately buying. I think your next potential entry could be above $10 as well, if that horizontal resistance is broken. All right, and then that would definitely give you that upside back to $11 as well. All right, so I think earnings just came out for IFast. Seems like forecast isn't too bright, isn't too cheery just yet. We want to wait for a little bit more certainty. All right, Jason, do not rush in to buy anymore. Take note of your position. If you receive some of those alerts, maybe it's time to go in to see if there's any new 1GT bearish signals. All right, so hopefully that helps for IFast Corporation. I'll pass the time now to Z to actually cover the next requested stock by you guys.
All right, thanks, Bervin. Okay, so let me change the screen over here, and the next stock that I'll be covering will be from Karen, right? Karen, saying Happy Lunar New Year, or 恭喜发财 to you, Karen. I said you bought Nam Cheong at 116. Should you hold or should you sell? Okay, so let's take a look at Nam Cheong. All right, so Nam Cheong over here, as you can see, this is not too far back. Probably maybe like that, right? About 1 year. Yeah, about 1 year, right? The chart, you all can see the trend, right? Maybe, oh wow, we have about almost 330 people with us this morning, right over here. So maybe, let's do some interaction, all right? So perhaps for 300 over of you here, right? Maybe you can help me and Karen out. What do you guys think, right, of the trend for Nam Cheong, right? Maybe you can let me know. You think it's an uptrend, downtrend, sideways? U for up, D for down, S for sideways. Let me know in the chat. Right, let me know in the chat. What do you guys think of the trend for Nam Cheong at this point in time? Okay, let's see. Hans, U, ABC, U, Brandon, U, Yatri, U, Nikki, U, Vincent says sideways. Okay, energized mood up. Strong uptrend. Jinlong up. Okay. So let's dive a bit deeper, right, into Nam Cheong, right, and let's take a look at whether is it really in the uptrend or not. All right. So as you guys know, if you guys have been joining us, the first thing that we always look at is the trend, right? Because why we want to be on the right side of the trend, right? We don't want to go against the trend because the trend is essentially your friend, right? I believe you guys have heard so many times, right? The trend is your friend. So we want to be on the right side of the trend. And what do we look at is we look at all the three moving averages, right? When we look at all three moving averages, all of them, short term, long term, all of them are heading up, right? So I would say that actually, if you think about the trend itself, you don't talk about support, resistance, don't talk about signals, is in an uptrend, right? I would say that Nam Cheong definitely is in an uptrend. And I think someone earlier on, who was it that say sideways? Let's see, Vincent, right? Vincent mentioned it is a sideways, right? Sideways. Actually, I would not disagree with Vincent. Perhaps when you talk about sideways, you are thinking about the price action, right? You can see that over the past 2 weeks since the start of February, a price has just been a bit up, down, like that. So that is perhaps why you are saying that it's a sideways, right? But overall, if you look at the big picture, right? You look at the big picture, I would say that I would agree with a lot of you guys, right, that say Nam Cheong is actually in an uptrend, right? So first thing, we know that, Nam Cheong uptrend, okay, safe, right? Then we move on. We take a look at where is the support, where is the resistance, right? Because Karen, you mentioned that you bought at $1.16. So $1.16, perhaps somewhere here to where price is at now, you are sitting on more than 10% profits. Congrats, right? Congrats. So perhaps I believe you have bought maybe somewhere here when it has broken above this $1.10 resistance, turning to become what we call a support, right? So right now, price is trading at about $1.31. And like what Vincent has mentioned earlier on, is in a sideways, right? I will agree that the price action has been kind of like moving sideways. If I just zoom in a little bit, right, you guys can see that it has consistently been testing this level here, about $1.35, whereby selling pressure, right, consistently returned. And based on the candlestick, you guys can see, right, even today, you can see that there is quite a number of long upper shadow, and that means that selling pressure is there ready to sell, right? So I would say that resistance definitely around this $1.35, right over here, right? So it's never a specific point, and remember, it is always a zone, right? Because the thing is that I could be drawing at $1.35, maybe Joey or Bervin draw at 138, 140, right? It's always like a zone, it's always a resistance zone, but this is the sell zone where you can potentially expect sellers to be there. Okay, so now we know that this is potentially a sell zone, right? So in terms of Karen's situation, you bought Nam Cheong at $1.16, right? You are sitting on profits. I would say that when price now, definitely it is within the sell zone, right? There is nothing wrong for you to actually take partial profits, right? I'm not too sure how many shares you actually bought or what's your position sizing, right? But there is nothing wrong for you to take partial profits. Maybe not all, because everybody also agree that the uptrend is too strong. Maybe not all the profits, right? Maybe partial, half position, 1/3 position. I think that's fine, right? To lock in the profits near a resistance, nothing wrong, right? Nothing wrong. And then if we can see in terms of support, right, I would say that definitely this $1.10 support is pretty clear. It was actually a resistance, broke above, turned into a support. But perhaps what I would draw is perhaps I would also draw a support, an immediate support somewhere around this $1.25, right around this level, right around this level. So apart from thinking of just selling, right, I want to reiterate Joey's point, right, about mindset earlier on when he go through CSE Global. People think about just selling when the stock is actually going up. But in fact, you can also think about potentially buying, right? Nothing wrong to buy when the stock is actually going up to increase your exposure, right? You can sell. Nobody say cannot sell. But you sell already, maybe you can also think about buying back, right? So this, I would say, will be the immediate support around $1.25, right? So around this zone, $1.25, which is also where the 20 days moving average is at, I think this would be one where you can actually set some price alert, right? If prices were to actually pull back, I think nothing wrong for you to add some to add some position here to increase your exposure, right? But of course, price have been going up since when, let's see, I think since when we got the 1GT bearish signal here, all the way, all the way go up until, near the $1.35, right? 40% I think in about 2 months. Actually, in December, start of January, in fact, start of January, about 1 month plus, right? It has just been going up, right? Haven't really take much of a breather, I would say. So if what we are able to see is, a sideways consolidation before it breaks out above the $1.35, I think that would probably give more upside, potential upside to this particular stock as well, right? If you guys can see, I just take this, I put here. Can you guys see this? I'm not saying that it will repeat. I'm not saying that the history will repeat itself. But if there is a consolidation before it breaks out, you see, before it breaks out this 90 cents, and then it goes all the way up, right? There's a consolidation making the uptrend even more sustainable, right? So potentially, that is what we could potentially be seeing as well if this sideways consolidation, right, over the next maybe couple of weeks, and we can see that it continue to hold firmly above the $1.25 and break above the $1.35. I think maybe the next upside target that we can look towards would be about another 10 cents range, maybe about to $1.45, perhaps to even the 150, right? Because 150, some would say that it's a psychological resistance, right? So perhaps 145 to 150, that could be the next upside targets that we could potentially be looking at if prices can break and hold above the $1.35. Okay, so and then if that actually happens, right, and it breaks and hold firmly above the 135, your 135 become what? Resistance turn to become a support, right? Then that is where you can also consider to actually, accumulate some position on the breakout. But of course, I think step by step, right? So now what we are seeing is price is at $1.32. It is near the resistance around 135, right? So nothing wrong to actually take some profits at this area. Okay, Karen, I hope that helped to give you some levels to take note of, set some price alerts, and also, the thing about mindset, right? That's the most important thing when it comes to trading. Okay, so with that, I will pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thank you so much. See, let's move on to the next one. Okay, and that would be this stock, ST Engineering, right? So let me just go to share my screen. There we go, right? So this is ST Engineering by Ian. Ian, I hope you're still over here, right? Any thoughts on ST Engineering? Resistance, the stop loss per the one good trend, it seems like unstoppable yesterday. Is it unstoppable? I don't know, right? Let's find out if it's unstoppable. Maybe going to push higher, all right? Any entries to accumulate for dividends or to take profit? So good, right? I think is you probably bought it quite a while back. Average cost $1.90. Now it's like $10, right? So you buy $1.90 is like, what is like very long ago? No, it's like last year or something, right? 190. Is it correct? Wow, you're holding on to now. Awesome, right? Very good. If it's 190 or is it a typo error? I don't know, right? Or is it 1090? No, it cannot be 1090. Now it's 1023, right? So if you got it at 190, awesome, right? You're sitting on pretty good profits, all right? And you're asking is, should you take some profit because it's a very good profit, or maybe accumulate more for dividends, right? So let's take a look at ST Engineering right now. So you can see for ST Engineering, right, it actually has been in our watch list since last year. One of the top performing stocks, I would say, since last year. We've covered it in like January 2025. Look at this, right? We got a bullish signal right over here, January 2025. Started to move up. The long-term trend was up. The green 20 days moving average line also started to turn up. There we go, right? Another bullish signal. And we went up, I think from like January last year all the way to August, 80%, 80% in like about 7-8 months, right? And we also got bearish signal. So when you see a bearish signal, I say, of course, what I've done is I've already turned on the 1GD Pro indicator. Once you turn it off, you see pump, nothing blur already, right? But you turn it on, if you see a bearish signal, then 80%, I think can take some profit lah, right? I mean, 80% you're still not happy, man. Okay, all right, 80%. Then you see, after you got bearish signal, it starts going down, right? So what for you want to hold all the way down, right? Of course, now we went down, then we got bullish signal, it came back up lah, right? But it could also go down all the way, right? So normally when we see a bearish signal coupled with a few other confirmations that the short-term trend is turning down. Look at the green line, also turning down, get out, take some profit first, okay? But thankfully, we got bullish signal, it starts rebounding again, and then bearish signal, it starts to go down again, right? So that's how it works, right? Whenever we got a bullish and bearish, it means that we may be in some form of a consolidation, and quite clearly, right? I think I've been covering this stock as well since last year, August. We were actually kept below the $9 psychological resistance level. Every time we near, I also don't know why, but every time we go near $9, sellers came back and then we start going down. Same thing. In October, we go there, come down again, right? Something here, come down again. Every time $9 come down, right? But suddenly, not suddenly, but somewhere around like beginning of the new year, pam, we got two, not one, two, one GT bullish signal actually appearing or being triggered. The green 20 days moving average line that was like down a bit, started to turn up. I think still up lah. Does it make sense? All right. And that's why we actually attempted to break the $9 psychological resistance level as well about a few days later as well. Right over here. And of course, there we go from $9 all the way to $10.22 right now. All right. And if I'm not wrong, I also got my team to send out a note to our VIP clients in Phillip Security. So just a shout out in case you're not getting my ideas by WhatsApp, like this stock, you can check your WhatsApp. Those of you who are client, I think somewhere around here, confirm, I think you'll receive a WhatsApp to put ST Engineering in your watch list. Why? Because we got some bullish signals coming out and it's broken or attempted to break the key $9 resistance. So those of clients, right? Those of you who have got in, our clients, awesome. You should be sitting on pretty decent profits. Those of you who are not yet a client, you probably missed it, right? It went up a bit, right? But never mind, there's still other opportunities out in the market. So click on the link in the chat, find out how you can stop missing out on top ideas like this. All right. In fact, today I'll later on send out one more, right? Those of you who are clients, you can check it out, check our WhatsApp later. Okay. But anyway, let's focus on ST Engineering, right? So you can see right now, $10.22. So we have pushed up away from the $9 psychological resistance level. So these $9 would be what we call a support level. All right, let me just put it in green color over here. Right, so you can see this is what we call a support level, resistance turn support. And over the past month, right? So January we broke $9. Very strong bullish candle. Short-term trend turn up, two bullish signals. Long-term trend, the red and blue, don't need to say, they're up since last year already, okay? You can see, right? The support actually got higher. From $9, it came up to about $9.30. It came up to about $9.60 or $9.70 right over here. And I would say so the support has risen from $9 to $9.30, $9.30 to $9.70. And over the past 1-2 weeks, it seems like not even $9.70, the support has gone even higher. All right, so let me just draw it for you. I would say support probably right now at the $10 psychological support level. Look at this, right? Pretty good bullish candlestick. Right over here, we have a long lower shadow. We like, look at it. This is beautiful, right? This is what we call a hammer, whereby it actually went below 10, right? It was a red candle, no? But buyers came back on this day, 16th of Feb, Monday, and push it all the way back up above the $10, right? It shows strength. It shows that these $10 don't play like what some buyers are there. You want to sell down, right? Never mind, let you win first. Later I go and buy back and push it back up above $10. Does it make sense? Like that's what it means. Even right over here, right? We got another hammer right over here. This is what we call some bullish candlestick bars that we look for as well, especially if it happens at certain zones or certain support level that we are looking at, right? So, if it's a support level whereby we could see some bargain hunting and you see certain, bullish reversal candles like a hammer or a candle with a long lower shadow, it means that there's some serious buying pressure on dip. So back to your question here. It looks unstoppable. Well, I would say not really unstoppable, but just that, it is consolidating right now, maybe taking a rest above the $10 psychological support level. And yeah, seems like this $10 is quite strong. Every time you go down, the buyers start to come back and push it back above the $10, right? So any entries to accumulate for dividends or take some profit, well, I would say it looks pretty bullish. So, you got in at a pretty good price. So, you're sitting on very strong profits, right? Very strong profit margin, right? So probably can let it ride more, all right? There's no cause for worries. There's no cause for concern. It still looks bullish. The bullish signals are in play. Supports are getting higher. The short-term trend, the green line, Still pointing up, right? And then we are above the $10 support. So actually, it looks good lah. It looks good lah. I mean, there's no cause for concern lah. But if you go below $10, or maybe you see a bearish signal, like a red color, signal coming out, like right over maybe like this bearish signal over here, right, coming out, and actually start coming down, right? Same thing, a bearish signal. And then maybe you want to take some profit, get out. But so now, don't have, right? It still looks good, right? And support would be at about the $10. So you could try to accumulate near the $10 psychological support. And I could also turn on what we call the trailing support, right? Let's take a look and see what it says, right? So trailing support is slightly lower, right? It is around the $9.55. Right? Why is it lower? Well, because as I said, the trailing support gives the stock the space to breathe as long as we're above it, right? It popped out since January, right? You can see got space, right? So as long as you're above the space, you're good. We give you the space on, right? You account for any volatility. In fact, if you're near it, also quite good, It could be an opportunity to get back in, right? But I don't know whether you're near it. Seems like go down a bit, people start to buy, and then you start to rebound again, right? So that could be a good attractive zone for entry, but the fact is that if the stock is strong, sometimes it may not necessarily always go back down to where the trailing support is, right? Above the $10, like what I'm saying, some bargain hunting is already coming back. All right, so I hope that helps, all right, in terms of some of the key levels. $10 is a psychological support level. Resistance, I can share with you, right, for ST Engineering, I would say that would be like a 10.20. It seems like over the past 2 days, all right, we are trying to attempt that break or that move above 10.20. You can see today, right, we went all the way down. The low was at about $10.13. Buyers came back and pushed it all the way up, and now we're above 10.20 again. Now it's like 10.23, right? So this 10.20 is like, we're trying to test it, right? We're trying to hold above it. It goes back down, buyers come back and push it back up. So I think next few days or maybe up to next week will be crucial. If we can hold above 10.20, that would be a new higher ground, a new higher support level whereby we could potentially see some bargain hunting come back. All right, targets could then be revised, maybe all the way to 10.50, maybe even to $11 as well, right? So far so good. Definitely more bullish than bearish from what I'm saying right now. So this is ST Engineering. All right, Ken, I hope that helps you. Okay, so now, right, as I say, guys, today, right, this show is a bit special. It's sponsored, it's kind of like our first sponsor, right, first sponsored show, and it's sponsored by SocGen, all right, whereby we'll be talking a little bit about DLCs, Daily Leverage Certificate. So maybe Tim can just place the link in the chat on the website, but let me just show you guys as to, for ST Engineering, right, for example, so you can see we got bullish signals right over here, pump. All right, and if you have gone in over here, right, let's say over here, if you got in on the underlying stock, right, like from here, right, so on the 5th of January, right over here, you got in on the underlying stock, basically the normal stock that everybody's buying, all right, we are looking at a profit of about 20% gain, right? Nothing complicated, just 20% gain. I mean, you buy the stock, let's say about $8.50 now, it's like 10.23, right? It's about 20% gain. That is if you get in on the underlying stock. But what happens is that maybe you don't buy the underlying stock. You actually buy what we call the DLC. So let me just share my screen right now in terms of ST Engineering. So the link is right in the chat in terms of how those of you who are keen to find out more, you can go to the SocGen website. You can just Google socgen.dlc.com. Right over here, find out more about it. And basically, it's an instrument, it's a product that's listed on the SGX, whereby you can take a position on, right, instead on the underlying stock. So ST Engineering, you can buy like a normal stock, but if you want to get a higher return, all right, you could just think about getting in on the DLC, Daily Leverage Certificate, on ST Engineering. All right, so let me show you what I mean. So you can see that, let's say for ST Engineering. So this is the website, socgen.dlc.socgen.com, right? You can look at the products. You can search for it as well. So go for search. Underlying stocks, right? There's many stocks. I mean, more than 200 over stocks in the US, even in Singapore, but today is Singapore, right? So let's just cover maybe on ST Engineering. So you can just search for the name, like for example, there we go, ST Engineering. So there's a DLC, there's a Daily Leverage Certificate for ST Engineering right over here, right? So let's just go ahead to put it out. You can see it right over here. This is the ST Engineering DLC. The code is UQKW. Let me just click on it. There we go, right? So this is the ST Engineering DLC on any trading platform, right? It's listed on the SGX, all right? You can just type the code UQKW right over here, and the price, it would be like $1.72. You can see the price is different. I mean, for the ST Engineering, right? It's like $10.22. It's only $1. Make sense? All right. So the price is much more affordable. And that's where you could actually take a position on this stock. So what does this DLC actually mean? Well, you can see, right? ST Engineering, 5x, 5 times long DLC. That means, right, to keep it simple, right? To keep it simple, basically, if ST Engineering were to go up by, let's say, from January to now, just now it was like about 20%, right? 20%, right? So from January now, 20%, that's the underlying stock. The DLC, if you get in on that DLC, the ST Engineering DLC, it'll be 20 times 5, right? 5 times, right? So 20 times 5, it'll be about 100%, right? Slightly lesser, about 100%. That is what it means in terms of the 5 times long DLC. So if you're looking at DLC, it's more of a short-term trading instrument. If you have a conviction on a particular trade setup, it's looking more bullish, you want to ride momentum, well, you could think about getting in on this DLC, right? Whereby you could magnify your returns by 5 times. So if that goes up by 5%, if you get in on DLC, it'll be 5 times 5, it'll be like 25%. If it's like 3% on the underlying, then it'll be 3 times 5, 15% on the DLC. Does it make sense? All right, that's how you magnify your return by getting in on DLC. You can take a look at this right over here. You can see, right, year to date, in terms of this performance, let me show you over here, right? That would be like 100. So year to date is like January to now. So if you're getting on the DLC, 139%, right? Whereas for ST Engineering, it's like about 20%. That's 139% from year to date in terms of the performance on the DLC. Why? Because there's magnified returns. You see what I'm saying about? All right. So this is how perhaps you can check out a little bit. For those of you who are keen, go to socgen.dlc.com. The link is right in the chat. Find out how this to spread a bit of awareness. I'd like to share a bit more. As I say, it's the very first sponsor for our AMAS live show. All right. So I just want to share with you guys a little bit more about DLC. I hope that helps. And that would be how you could take a position to magnify your returns with this DLC product. Cool. All right. So thank you so much, Jen. I hope that helps. Right, you're a bit clearer on some of the key levels. Now let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock for today. Bervin, yours.
All right. Thanks, Joey. All right. Maybe before I cover the next stock, maybe I'll ask Joey this question because someone is asking, will Joey be running any promotions for the 1GT subscription for 2026? I think the best person to answer this will be Joey.
Oh, thank you so much. Good question, right? So yeah, basically, guys, all right, the One Good Trend Pro indicator that we are using, you can see right over here, right? This is the One Good Trend Pro indicator, and there are several boxes. We probably don't have time to turn on everything. If I turn on everything, you can see it's a bit messy, right? Boom, right? Too many things, right? So this is the Pro version, right? And if you want to find a bit more about the Pro version, well, there is a webinar that you could find out more about it. All right. It's only for our graduates. Unfortunately, that's where we dive a little bit deeper into the One Good Trend strategy. All right. So we do have a webinar, I think, in March next month. We don't do this very often. It's not really my full-time job. I'm just doing my best to share a little bit, right? So team, just place the link in the chat, right? You'll find out a bit more about the One Good Trend Pro indicator. The link is right in the chat. You can attend a free webinar in March. All right. So that's the One Good Trend Pro indicator. But if you want to find out a little bit more in terms of like the light indicator, I think Bervin and Z has mentioned as well. Well, we do have a light version, the One Good Trend light indicator. It's a simpler version. So you can see this is the Pro. All right. When I turn on the settings, there's quite a lot of features, a lot of advanced stuff, a lot of big boxes that you can turn on. But for the light version, it's pretty much like 4 boxes, right? The bullish and bearish signals, which some people like, is just very simple. Turn it on, pump. Turn it off, disappear, blur already, right? Turn it on, you get clarity, you get the guidance on what to do, right? So the light indicator will be a simpler version. You can turn on the bullish and bearish signals together with the moving averages, the green, the red, and the blue line. You can see right over here, disappear, gone, right? So it gives us a bit of a guidance in terms of the trend as well from the short term and the long-term trend together with the bullish signal. So test it out. We do have a 14 days free trial. We might take down the trial soon. So test out, all right, 14 days free trial to the One Good Trend light indicator. Can go to play around. I hope that helps. All right.
All right. Okay. So maybe let's go to the next stock. Jen, hopefully you're still here. Please comment on Tiong ticker BQM bought at breakout at 1.03. What is the resistance and support level? All right. To be very, very honest, I'm not too familiar with this company. Haven't been following them. But let's just see what it says on the chart. Yeah, let me just turn off that trailing support and resistance first. All right, so I think first thing first, I think, yeah, definitely we see a little bit more movement coming in for Woon in the past few months, right? In start of January, it started to move up very quickly, breaking that previous resistance of 85 cents, pushing higher, found a little bit of a support, I would say, around that 95 cents level. Let's change this to green, all right, and most recently, breaking above that psychological $1 level. So what is that key support and resistance level? I would say in the meantime, you can look towards that support level being very, very close to that 95 cents, towards that $1 level. Like Z have said, right, is majority of the time it is a zone. Right, it is a zone. So you could possibly draw 95 cents to $1 as a buy zone. As a buy zone, and your position was very, very close to this $1 level. You bought it at 103, probably yesterday or this morning. Right, yesterday or this morning. So above that $1 level, great. What is that upside? So usually when we do a little bit of forecasting, right? A little bit of forecasting, especially when the stocks are at a all-time high, right? At an all-time high, look at that. It had previously not traded anywhere close to this level just yet. All right, so we do a little bit of forecasting. Let's just take 85 cents to 95 cents, right? And then upwards of that $1 level, right? You could potentially forecast that the immediate resistance will be close to that $1.10 level. 1.10. That is where could expect a little bit of a selling pressure to come in. Could expect to see a little bit of a consolidation happening close to that $1.10 level, and potentially that is where, if prices are able to break out from this level. Oh, what's happening? Sorry, I'm not too sure what happened there. But okay, if prices broke above that $1.10 level, yes, I think then you could have further upside, even upwards towards 120 first. But one step at a time, right? One step at a time. We want to see prices be able to test, consolidate, find a new higher support at 110, above 110 first, before we do any further forecasting. All right, so what does it look right now? So you have bought at 1.03. It looks not too bad, right? We got that 20 days moving average still pointing up. That red line above that blue line, the red above that blue moving average, 100 days above that 200 days moving average. So the green above the red above the blue, everything is somewhat pointing up. The green is definitely much more steeper than the red and the blue. I think the longer term trend is still very much aligned with the shorter term momentum. All right, so that is a sign that, or good sign, that you like to see in a stock or a position you're holding. You don't want to see the 20 days moving average point down, the red line pointing down, the blue line being flat. That could be a sign of a reversal into a downtrend happening. But in this case, that uptrend remains intact. We have two 1GT bullish signal concurrently or simultaneously appearing one after another on the 13th and 14th, the 12th and the 13th of January, just before prices broke above the 85 cents resistance at that point of time. All right, so Jen, I think what you want to do is just to make sure that we protect our downside as well. We can ride the upside, we protect our downside, and we let the upside take care of itself. All right, so what we can do here is to turn on that trailing support and resistance lines. Not too sure what's happening. I think there is some internet issues. My 1GT Pro indicator isn't loading very well. Okay, here we go, it's loaded. Here we go. We can see that trailing support right now is at around that 93 cents, 93.5 cents level. So I think that is where you may want to protect some of your profits. Not above it, under it, Jen. So just under that 93.5 cents, maybe 92 cents or 91.5 cents, that is where you want to set your stop limit orders first. But I think in the interim, just under the 95 cents, set an alert. Set an alert for yourself, just to get yourself alerted towards if that horizontal support is broken. And another alert very close to that $1.10 level, maybe 108, 109. That is where you want to set up your next alert, because from 103 all the way up to 110, there is still a 7% upside. And then if you are able to see prices head towards the 110 level, definitely you will see that trailing support start to head higher. That is when you start to shift your stop limit orders up. And hopefully if we see a breakout above that 110 level, you may want to set up a technical alert. So what is a technical alert? So this can be done for both your 1GT Pro indicator and 1GT light indicator. Under create an alert, just select for condition the 1GT Pro or the 1GT light indicator, select the buy or sell signal or buy or sell alert, and just click on create. Right, so if there are any new 1GT bullish or bearish signals coming in, you will then be alerted, and potentially, all right, nobody is to say that if it breaks above 110, hey, this could be another buy zone, all right, for you to accumulate as prices are moving up. That is the mindset that you want to have, all right, not just holding on to a singular position, hoping that you will just tell you, hey Jen, it's time to sell. No, the market never does that, right? So what we want to do is, if there is continued sign of strength, you can continue, or you can consider to continue accumulating on positions as well. All right, and then when you get a 1GT bearish signal, of course you want to take some profits, reduce the exposure a little bit, protect those profits that you already have made. But I think so far so good for Woon Corporation. I think this is not quite a new stock. I think maybe I'll add it to my watch list as well. Thanks for sharing, Jen. All right, so I will now pass on the time to Z to actually cover the next stock for you guys. Z?
All right, thanks, Melvin. I think actually it's not your internet issue. I think it should be TradingView, because I saw Yatri also commenting that the TradingView is responding a bit slow, and I think it's a bit slow on my end also. Yeah. Okay, let me just share my screen here, and all right. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be by John, right? John, I hope you're still here. You're asking about Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, right? And it has moved up in the past week. Is it still a buy? Okay, I think the latest comment came in was by TFTF as well, asking about Yangzijiang. I'm not too sure if you're asking about Yangzijiang Shipbuilding or Yangzijiang Financial, right? Okay, but I'll just cover the shipbuilding one first. Okay, so for Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, John mentioned that it has moved up in the past week, right? If I were to zoom in, I think, yeah, definitely, right? We can see that price actually rebounded, right, from this support all the way up, and now it's trading at about $3.68, right? Definitely has moved up, right, over the past week. And whether now is it still a buy, right? Okay, so let's take a look at some of the things that perhaps we might want to keep a lookout for in terms of getting more confirmation on our end before we think about taking action, right? So what are some of the confirmations that we want to look out for, right? So first thing first, right over here, we can see that, okay, for this chart, right, I have already turned on the bullish and bearish signal for you guys, right? And you guys can see that over here on the 16th of February, we actually have a 1GT bullish signal that is playing out, right? Have kind of like broke above this level, right, that I have previously drawn, which is 360, right? 360 previously, I draw it as a resistance, right? I draw it as a resistance, and price today, it is holding, right? It is still holding above this 360. So let me just change it to a green for now, because now it is still a support, right? It's still a support, okay? And we can see that for Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, right, it has kind of just been kind of trading sideways since October, right? Since October, and you can see that the 20 days moving average, right, has also flattened out since then, right? It has just kind of going up and down, and with the signals itself, you can also see that it kind of flipped from a 1GT bullish to bearish to bullish to bearish, and that is also a sign of, the stock is actually in a sideways consolidation, right? But if I were to zoom in and let's just take a look at what has been happening over the past month, you can see, okay, the blue line over here, it is going up, right? It is still going up. The red line was going up, flattening out, and now maybe, right, if I have to zoom in a bit more, it has started to show a bit of signs of it sloping back up, right? The green line, of course, it was going down, and now it started to point back up, right? It started to point back up. So those are pretty good signs, right? Pretty good signs, especially if price have broken above the 360. Right, but whether, if you ask me whether can it hold above the 360 by the end of today, next week can it hold above 360? I don't know, right? I don't know whether can it hold above, but ideally I would like to see it holding above it firmly, right? That is one of the signals or one of the confirmation that I would like to get, right? To know that this 360 has indeed hold above this level, right? And okay, and then the next thing is that if price is actually able to firmly hold level, right, one of the potentials that I would like to look at, or one of the potential upside targets that we can, would be, as you can see, I put around this $4, right? How did I get these $4 even? It's very simply from this sideways consolidation range that it was actually trading at least 5 months and projected up, right? That will be the next upside target that I'm looking towards. If price is actually able to break and hold firmly above this 3, right? But of course, I think somewhere around this 380, potentially that is where we could see some selling pressure return. Why? Because previously when price actually attempted to break above this 360, right, somewhere in the mid to early Jan, right, it broke above, right, but it didn't manage to continue to hold above it firmly. Like, it came back down within the range, right, and we got a 1GD bearish signal, right? So I would not be surprised if if prices is able to do like this, and when it approach this 380, perhaps we might see some sort of selling pressure returning, right? Perhaps we might see some sort of selling pressure returning. I would not be surprised, right? But the other confirmation that I would like to look out for is for this to actually cross back above the longer terms, right? So ideally what I want to see is green. Sorry, let me just change this color. Green, red, and then blue, right? Essentially what I want to see is like that, right? Green, red, and blue, right? That is the other confirmation in terms of the trend that I want to look out for, on top of price holding above the 360, right? Plus, we still got a 1GT bullish signal that is actually still playing out. All right. So for Yangzijiang, I think at this point in time, it looks like it is gaining momentum, it is gaining strength. But I think those are the two confirmations, right? In terms of the price holding above resistance turn support, that's one. And number two, the trend, right? The trend. We want to see the moving average, right, pointing back up, crossing the green line, crossing above the red line, and the 1GD bullish signal still playing out. And the potential upside targets that we are looking towards would be the $4, right? The $4 psychological level based on the projection, and it is also a psychological level, okay? So, but of course, that being said, right, this would be one of the potential zone that we are looking at, right? So if this is the area that we are potentially thinking about positioning ourselves for entry, of course, you also got to think about your stop loss, right? Because the target that mentioned, right, will be around this $4, right? Around this $4, that could be the range that we are looking at in terms of the potential upside. But of course, when you think about your entry, you also got to think about your stop loss, right? Not just entry, not just target, but also your stop loss in case prices were to reverse. Then how, right? We don't want to get stuck. Right? So you could also potentially place your stop limit order slightly below the support level, right? Slightly below the support level to manage your downside if prices were to suddenly reverse. Especially so, this thing that I want to highlight also. Estimated earnings result released on the 4th of March, right? And if we were to look back, you can see this was when earnings was released in February. Prices came all the way down. This was the earnings that came out in August. Prices went all the way up. So the thing is that when it comes to earnings, prices could go up, it could go down. Nobody can tell, right? But most importantly, you have a plan in place just in case prices were to reverse. If you already got into a position, then it goes down. Earnings result not so good, market didn't absorb the news well, then that's time for you to get out, because there will definitely be opportunities for you to actually re-enter again. But of course, we want to wait for the right confirmations okay? So that would be for Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. I think overall now looks not too bad, but take note of some of the levels and also the confirmation we want to look out for. Okay, John, I hope that helps. I will pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next one, and that would be Sheng Siong. Sheng Siong, right? One of the stocks that we covered since last year. Very bullish move, but over the past few weeks, seems like some selling or some heavy selling actually came back. Now, let me go into just show some of the comments. I think we have quite a few asking about Sheng Siong, so I thought why not just cover it. Chin Jing Long, I hope you're over here. When Sheng Siong broke up 275, forget to buy. But quick sell down to 267. Yeah, now it's about 268 now. Is it a buy at this level or better price at 251? Don't advise. So you're looking to buy. Let's find out later. All right, so you're looking to buy. All right, let's see. Priscilla, hold or sell? Bought at the highest level. Okay, so Priscilla, you bought, now came down to hold or to sell. Okay, so you see different, some bought already, some looking to buy. Okay, let's see another of Sheng Siong as well. Quite a few of Sheng Siong. Let me just try to find the comments. And by the way, guys, my apologies if we cannot cover all your stocks. You can see I'm trying to find all the comments. More than 50, 60 over stocks. So we're doing our best. Let me find where's the next Sheng Siong stock. Who's asking about Sheng Siong? I think we have one more on Sheng Siong, like Ajit, please cover Sheng Siong later on. Okay, I'm covering, but I don't know what you want me to cover. Okay, later we see. Any other Sheng Siong as well? Okay, I think there we go, right? Yeah, okay, let me just go ahead to pull out Sheng Siong, right? So this is Sheng Siong right now, okay? So I'll just pull out one of the comments, okay, mind. So basically, some looking to buy, some looking to maybe sell or to hold, right? So you can see this is Sheng Siong right over here, and the price is $2.69. So Sheng Siong has been one of the stocks, I would say, one of the top performing plays in 2025. Wow, you can see that since April last year, we got a couple, not one or two, but 3, 4, 5 bullish signals in April last year, guys. That was quite long ago already, right? And you can see that when the bullish signals appeared in April, all the way to recently, finally, after about 8, 9 months, we got a bearish signal coming out, all right? And this bearish signal kind of like appeared on the 11th of February, about last week, all right? Right over here, a bearish signal has appeared after 8 months, not 1 month, not 2 months, not 1 week, 8, 9 months, right? So this means that there is indeed some heavy selling coming back, and the gains are from the bullish signal in April all the way to here is a 77%. All right, so I think it's good to take some profit. I mean, if you've gone in on the very first bullish signal, or maybe on the second or third or the fourth, right? Definitely looking at more than 30, 40, 50% gain. Right? So I think it's good to take some profit if you are kind of like holding it. Now, what about if you are looking to buy? Is it the right time to buy? Let's go to find out right now. So for Sheng Siong, I would say that the long-term trend is good. I mean, look at the red line and the blue line. 100 days moving average pointing up. Blue, 200 days moving average also pointing up. So long-term trend has been up since last year. In fact, since last year, 2024 already up already. So there was no issue. Okay, one. Okay, it's definitely one of stocks in our watch list that we could think about getting in on the long term. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year. It's a good stock, right? It's very strong, very steady, very gradual kind of uptrend in the long term. But the point is that doesn't mean it's a long-term uptrend, means you anyhow just go and buy also, right? Because it could be a long-term uptrend, but if it's like moving sideways for 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months, and if the short-term trend is down, then we also don't want to buy. Why? Because it might take a while for that stock to start to move up again, and then your money might be stuck for like 1, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, right? Whereas you could put these funds into some other stocks that are moving up, right? It starts to move, and then suddenly after 1 month, still same price. After 3 months, still same price. People already go up by 5, 10, 20% already. Does it make sense about? Right? So that's the opportunity cost as well, that we don't just get in because the longer term trend is up. Not saying that it's not good, it's important, but this is one confirmation. We want to only get in when the long-term trend is up, the short-term trend is up, and maybe if we get a bullish signal coming out. All right, so is there a bullish signal coming out right now? No lah, right? Because we just got a bearish one, right? Last week, then it started to come down, right? So there is no new bullish. I don't know whether it will come out like next week or next month. I don't know, right? But if it comes out, great. That is where it will turn more bullish. Again, like something like this, the first one over here. Can you see, right? When we come out in April, right, what happened? You can see it started to go up, right? Consolidate, pump, go up, right? A new bullish signal do give us that very needed confirmation that we seek. that can really see the next phase of upside or the reversal actually happening. But right now, there is no bullish signal, right? So let me just go to see right now what would be the short-term trend. So as I say, we want to get in only when the long-term trend is up and the short-term trend is up. So in December, you can see the green line was down, right? Down, down, down. The green line started to turn up. We got a bullish signal, bullish. It started to move all the way from 270 all the way to that $3. I would say $3 would be a psychological resistance level, right? We got a bearish candle right over here after the day end, right, near the $3. And you can see 2 days later, we got a bearish signal. So I think this bearish signal came out because there was some analysts downgrade, right? If I'm not wrong, I think by OCBC, there was an analyst downgrade in terms of valuations becoming, over valuations or overvalued and stuff, right? So people kind of use that opportunity to sell down. I mean, that's like a 77% gain since April last year, right? So people want to use this opportunity to sell down, take some profit as well. So we got the news coming out, right? Of course, nobody would know about that, right? It got announced and it started to sell down, all right? But the thing here is that we got bullish signals, short-term trend was turning up, it looked pretty good. But right now, if you ask me, I would say that the green 20 days moving average line has started to slope down a little bit, just a little bit. So we're not entirely out of the woods. I would say that there's still some weakness in the short term, right? Resistance maybe all the way to 280. Some support, it seems like over the past 1 week, right? Some support have came out at about $2.65. $2.65. So like the range is 265 to maybe 270 for now. Okay, so normally we would want to buy it, right? Even though the long-term trend is up, we will only want to think about getting in, all right, if we see a new bullish signal. So what could happen is this, right? Now it's 265 to 270, right? If you get in now, not saying cannot, but if you get in now, then what if the 265 support were to break down, all right? And we might hit to the next support at about 250. Does it make sense? All right, that could be the next support level, all right? And then you get in near 250, it breaks down, we may see a new bearish signal and it may go even lower. I'm not saying that it will go there. I'm not saying that there will be a bearish signal, but the point is that we don't get the confirmations that we need to get that in. But if we consolidate some more and we see the green line maybe going down, 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 it could be here and start to flatten out, maybe start to turn up over here, something like that, all right? Or maybe we might sell down a little bit more, the green line go down even more, maybe from here flatten out, turn upwards, right? Something like this, there you see over here, right? Down, 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 turn up, bullish signal. There we go, right? So that's what we're looking for. But right now, you ask me, come out already not? Haven't, the green line still turning down, right? Not even flattening out yet, it's still turning down, right? It just started to turn down. So we need a few more confirmation days to come out. We need a few more days to play out to get the necessary confirmation, right? So if the green line flattens out, and then we get a bullish signal like over here, all right, a 1GT bullish signal, or maybe over here or here or here, right? That is where it will be different, right? That is where we could start to see the reversal. It will be a very good confirmation that buyers are starting to come back out, right, to push this stock higher, and we could start to think about getting in again. All right. So I hope that helped. I think those of you, Priscilla, who is asking about Sheng Siong, right? I think let me just put the comment again to make sure that I answered the Sheng Siong, right? Okay, look over here, right? Is it a buy at this level or better price at 251? Well, not a buy for now. We want to see more stability. We want to see a bit more confirmations. 265 will be a support. If it holds above there, the green line starts to point up, good. We get a bullish signal, even better. All right, so probably want to be a bit more patient for now. Okay, that would be for Sheng Siong. All right, okay, so we pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervin, yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let's see what's the next stock. Here we go. Okay, so Joseph, I just joined. Please cover SIA Singapore Airlines purchased at the price of 5.418 in 2022. Didn't sell as dividend was about 6 to 7%. Very decent. Sold some last year, 2 times. Also, you sold twice last year at an average price of 6.70. Should I hold / wait till next dividend with some upside? All right, okay, let me change my screen up. Here, let's go. We'll just hide this comment first because it's a bit big. I think it's covering my chart. Thanks, Joseph, for all that details. All right, so on the screen right here, we have Singapore Airlines. The stock code is C6L. Okay, so Joseph bought it previously in 2022. So yes, held it for quite a while, right? He held it for quite a while. Close to maybe even 3 years already, 3, 4 years possible as well. Bought at about 5.48 average cost, right? Held it for a while. So definitely sitting on some profits alongside with some dividends already in your pocket, Joseph. So right now we see that SIA over the last few weeks, I would say, has woken up quite a little bit, right? Has woken up quite a little bit. Buyers came in to defend that 620 to 630 buy zone or support area. Right? Buyers came in to defend that zone. We start to see that 20 days moving average point up. Prices even broke above that 660 resistance. All right, right now we actually are met with a little bit of resistance close to that $7 level. All right, the $7 psychological level facing a little bit of resistance. Selling pressure actually came in this morning. Prices pulled back a little, but where is that support? That support still remains at about that 660 level. You can draw a little bit of a buy zone there. We still have two 1 GT bullish signals that are still present. All right, they are still present. Although if we look at that 20 days moving average, yes, it is pointing up, but that 100 days moving average, right? The 100 days moving average, that red line is still currently under that blue line, but it is already pointing up. So this could be a reversal into an uptrend. Previously prices was just consolidating, everything pretty much moving just sideways, finally waking up a little bit. All right, finally waking up a little bit. I think what we want to see is that further confirmation. That 100 days moving average continuously sloping up, right? Continuously sloping up and then crossing above that 200 days moving average. All right, and that would definitely see, or we can then definitely see that the uptrend, the longer term uptrend, will then be intact or will then be aligned with that shorter term momentum. Right, so I think right now, I think Joseph, there is a little bit of weakness, but we do not have a 1 GT bearish signal coming up just yet. Right, so if we were to just turn on that trailing support and resistance, give it a second to load. I think just now you actually say your trading view is a little bit slower today, maybe in CNY mood. So not really loading just yet. Just hold on for a little bit. Okay, there we go. Let me just get rid of my box here. Okay, so we have that trailing support currently right around just under the 670 level. Just under the 670 level. And prices are currently still holding above it. Remember that trailing support gives the stock room to breathe. Right? So even as of current prices, there is still a 2 to 3% down in order for that trailing support to be broken. All right, so I think right now we are still holding very, very safely above that trailing support. No signs of immediate selling needed just yet. But I think we need to pay very close attention. I think maybe not today, maybe even Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week, just to see if that selling pressure continues or even picks up, or even if it eases up a little bit and we have prices testing that $7 resistance level again. All right, so I think Joseph, I think for now, I don't think you would have to immediately sell, immediately take any action, but potentially you could, if you are able to see that confirmation that the uptrend is coming. All right, the uptrend is forming up, longer term uptrend is forming up. Potentially a break above $7 could see more buying interest pick up as well. All right, so then you can accumulate. Or speaking of even accumulate, I think SIA has a DLC, right? This is a DLC sponsored AMAS video or AMAS live. So let's talk a little bit about the DLC. Just now I saw someone was asking, all right, Lam was also asking, if DLC can trade on poems or not? Right. So firstly, if you are one of Joey's clients under poems and want to get started trading DLC, not too sure how you can do that, not too sure how you are going to be able to do that, just reach out to one of the team, Sam or Brian. They'll be more than happy to help you. And for those of you who are trading elsewhere, not too sure whether your account is able to trade DLC, or not too sure how to set it up even, I think Joey's team would be able to help you as well. So you can also, I think maybe Z can help me place the link in the chat. If you want to be a client of Joey's under Philips Securities and start trading DLCs, that is also possible. All right, so just give me a second right there. Let me just share my screen to actually just show you guys that Poems is able to actually trade DLCs as well. So just a very quick one right here. Here we go. All right, so this is my Poems account. This is just my Poems account. If you want to get to the DLC tab, just go under prices, LP1, go to DLC. Right here, you will see a full list of DLCs that are available for trading. And then if you're looking specifically, all right, say for example, specifically for SIA, very simply, just go to the website, the SocGen website, go under underline, just search for Singapore Airlines. Singapore Airlines come up. See these two little stars right here? These are the most sensitive DLCs. I mean, in fact, the two DLCs that are available are the most sensitive DLCs. That's a good thing, right? What's the code right there? For a little bit, and then you would actually see the SIA DLC being available as well. All right, so this is how you trade DLCs on Poems. All right, so if you need any more information, I think Z have placed the link in the chat. You can actually look out, or you can actually just click the link in the chat to find out a little bit more about DLCs. So in this case, for SIA, if you want to take up a position, all right, say maybe for Joseph, do not want to buy the shares, do not want to put down the full amount of capital again to buy SIA. If it breaks above $7, you can actually use the DLC instrument to actually ride any further upside. Or if, just say for example, here's the cool thing about DLCs. If it breaks below 660 level, there could be further downside, right? You can actually use the DLC short, all right, the DLC 5x short to actually ride the downside, to actually profit as well. For some more expert one, they use it to hedge, to take advantage of the downside to alleviate any losses or any reduce in profits from their existing positions. All right, so I think that could be a potential move for SIA. A break above $7, you could see the immediate resistance about the 730 level. Right now, still looking good. The nearer term momentum still intact. A little bit of selling coming in today. I think we should take the next few days to actually monitor where are buyers coming out, whether buyers are coming in to actually defend those key levels. All right. So I think I will pass the time. I'm not too sure. I think Joey wants to add on.
Maybe
something.
if I can add on a little bit on DLC. Thank you so much, Bervin, for sharing a little bit on DLC's daily leverage certificate. But I think I said some questions as well, right? I need to open a new account on DLCs. No, right? No, basically any trading account, any normal trading account, this is a product that is listed on the SGX, right? So just go to the dlc.socgen.com website. You'll be able to find the underlying stock and the corresponding DLC, all right? Then you type in the name of the code, right? Like how you find a normal stock, right? Type in the name of the code and you will be able to find the DLC. So let me just show you very quickly. For example, okay, let me go and share my screen, right? So let's say, so this is the SocGen or dlc.socgen.com website. So you can just type the name of your underlying stock over here. You can do a search of the underlying over here. Like for example, let's say we have DBS, right? DBS Group. Click on it. There we go, right? Search. And this would be the DLCs for DBS. That's long and that's short as well. So if you want to think about buying, you want it to make money when it's going up, then you look at the long one. So it's a 5x leverage DLC. You can see the code is LQSW. You can click on it, right over here. You can see. So DBS price is like $57 plus, right? But the DLC is $1.40. Make sense? It's much cheaper, right? So basically it's a 5x leverage. The DBS goes up by 2%. this will go up by 2 times 5, about 10%. Does it make sense? All right, Ken. So that's how you can type in the name of any, on any trading platform, LQSW. You will be able to pull out the DLC, all right, on your normal trading account. You don't have to open any new special account. No. It's just the normal, account that you buy and sell stocks, lah. All right. And yeah, definitely you can trade DLC using Poems. Reach out to my team. For those of you who are clients, you need a bit more help on that. And of course, my team will be just help you a little bit in terms of like to make sure. I think this is what we call an SIP product. You might need to acknowledge some of the forms online to trade DLC. But if you need a bit more help, there's a hotline right over here, all right, by SocGen, right? DLC hotline 6226-2828. This is the number. You can just go to their website top right hand corner. You can find the number if you need a bit more help on DLCs. All right, but basically it's a tradable product that's listed on the SGX. All right, and I think there's one more question. We have like Joy. Hi Joey, how do I start an account with you? Oh, very simple, Joy. I mean, I'm not too sure where you're trading right now, if you get any service, but you can simply click on the link in the chat, Joy. There's one link right in the chat. I think just about 2 or 3 messages above. Click on it, find out how you can become a client of mine in Phillip Securities, all right, to get some of our ideas, as I say, daily for free and no additional cost. Those of you who are not yet a client, click on the link, same like Joy. That's where my team will reach out to you to share a bit more, and we welcome you on board. We can't wait to share with you a bit more of those ideas that we share on a daily basis by WhatsApp, all right, and some of our private trainings as well that we prepare for our clients. All right, Ken, so let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next stock, Z.
All right, thanks, Joey. And I think maybe since Joey is on his screen now, right, I also just wanted to add a little bit on DLC, is that apart from us speaking about DLC, right, Joey actually write article about DLC. If you guys don't know, right, he actually every month he actually publish a DLC article on his Beehive, right? Let me see whether I can share my screen over here. Give me a second.
Z, you can share. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me just share here. Okay, I hope you guys can actually see my screen right now. Yep, so this is actually, Joey's website, right, whereby we actually release monthly newsletter lah, US stocks lah, DLCs lah, and you see there's many different categories here, even SDRs, structured warrants. So there is a specific category, by the way, for DLCs, if you guys don't already know, right? And if you guys, want to have updates about this, just be a client of Joey, and then definitely you will receive emails whenever we publish articles like that. So you can see right over here, the last one was actually just in February, right? About DBS. Then there is also DLC for US stocks as well. By the way, if you guys don't know, not just Singapore, there is also US stocks. So just check out the SocGen website, right? There is already, I think the link is already in the chat. So just check them out. There is a list of products, not just Singapore stocks, but also US stocks as well, whereby you can actually trade in the Singapore Stock Exchange. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing on that. I think we do have like weekly articles, on I mean, we don't just do videos. Of course, I try my best to do YouTube videos. We come live on AMBS every Friday, but on top of that, right, we also have weekly articles, all right, sharing about certain stock ideas. It could be DBS, it could be Nvidia, it could be Singtel, it could be Meta, all right, and how on these ideas you could actually trade, on like DLC, even on warrants as well. Check it out. The link's right in chat. That's our little blog, all right, whereby we do update on a very regular basis. The link is right in the chat, all right?
Yeah. And I think it will be fair to also cover this question by Gerard, right? Is there any potential downside for trading DLCs? I mean, of course, when everybody talk about leverage, you got to be very, very careful when, especially DLC is a leverage product, right? Like what Joey mentioned. If, let's say, for example, DBS is a 5 times long, right? If DBS underlying go up by 1%, the DLC will go up by 5%. Right, but at the same time, if it goes down by 1%, it will also go down by 5%. So that is why it is very important for you guys to actually have a trading plan in place whenever you guys are trading any leverage product. Actually, not even leverage product, just normal equities. Thinking about entering, exiting a stock, you already must have a trading plan. That the same logic, right, and the same principle apply for trading leverage product. And when you're trading leverage product, you got to be even more disciplined, right? Don't just put your stop loss there, and then if price go down, you remove your stop loss, right? Because that is where probably people might get burned because of the leverage factor that is involved, right? The multiplier effect can go both ways, right? Not just go up, but it can also go down. Okay, so that is the downside that you got to be very careful of, especially when you are trading any leverage product. Okay, so I hope that gives you guys a clearer picture. Then let me just change my screen again. Okay, let me just change my screen to my chart over here first. Right here. Okay, yeah. So before I dive into the next stock, right, I think maybe I'll just do a very quick recap of what has already been covered, because I think I saw some of you guys were actually asking the same stock again. Okay, so Joey actually started off with the market update, right, with the STI index, Straits Times index, and the very first stock that Joey covered was CSE Global. Okay, and then Bervin covered IFast, and I covered Cheong, right, followed by ST Engineering. And then there's this stock called Tiong Woon, right? Tiong Woon, that's covered by Bervin. And then I did Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. Joey did Sheng Siong, and Bervin has just covered SIA, right? And we just talked a little bit about DLC. Okay, so now let's move on to the next stock over here. And I think that would be on my screen is Genting Singapore, right? Because I saw, let me just find the comment. Where is the comment by? Let's see. I remember Li Han. Li Han was actually asking about Genting Singapore. Let me see. Where is Li Han's comment? Yeah, okay, found it. Okay, Li Han. Li Han, I hope you are still here, okay? So, hi, Joey and team. Genting Sing bought at average price of 0.744. Now, price has crossed the 80 cents resistance, can continue to accumulate for further upside or to hold, right? Okay, so let's see. I think Genting Sing is also over the past few days, right? I think people have also been asking us quite a bit about Genting Sing as well, because as you can see, suddenly a lot of interest in this counter. It just shot all the way up. Maybe it could be also due to Chinese New Year spirit. As you guys know, Genting Sing, they own RWS, right? And maybe it could also be part of that reason as well. People want to gamble and things like that. Yeah, it could be that, right? It could be that, right? So this is a stock. I mean, of course, over the past few days, we have seen some interest coming back. And, short-term wise, right, if we look at the trend, right, 20 days moving average. Oh, and I think by the way, just now someone was asking about the moving average, right? What is the number of days, or what is the moving average that we use? So just to clarify and to let you guys know, 20 days moving average is the green line that we are looking at, right? And that's the short-term trend that we are looking at, 20 days moving average. And then the red one would be 100 days moving average, and the blue one is 200 days moving average. So those are the longer term moving average that we look at and we use, right? Okay. So back to Genting, right? Short term trend wise, I mean, obviously very clear, right? It's pointing up and it is above the red and the blue, right? And furthermore, the signals, right, for this, right, Genting Sing, you can see that I really turned on the signal. We got 1 GT bullish signal that is playing out. The latest one is actually today, right? As of today, because it's still trading, right? Now lunch break. But today it actually appeared, right? If you were to ask me whether the signal will actually still stay there by the end of today closing, I don't know, right? But based on what I can see now, based on the candlestick itself, what do we see is that we see selling pressure, right? Why? Because of the long upper shadow, right? Probably profit taking actually happened. People are wanting to sell, maybe take some of the profits, give ang pao, right? Perhaps that could be the case, right? That is where, at this point in time, I do see some selling pressure returning. But I don't know whether the signal at the end of the day will it still be there, right? Because if by the end of the day, the criteria do not meet, and then the signals will be gone, right? The signal will be gone. But I mean, of course, at least we still got a 1 GT bullish signal that is definitely will still be here on the 11th of February, right? So right now, Li Han mentioned that you bought at average price of 0.744, right? 0.744, probably somewhere around here, right? Your average cost price around here, right? To where you are at now, you're sitting on about 8% profits, right? Not too bad, right? Not too bad. And finally, it had crossed above the 80 cents resistance, which is very clear, right? This 80 cents previously was tested right in November, right? And then prices unable to break above, selling pressure come back, push all the way back down to the 71 cents support level right here, right? So now price holding above these 80 cents, just broke above it today, right? Open at 80 cents. Yeah, in fact, it opened at 80 cents. It's still holding above it at this point in time. And I think that is definitely one of the very crucial level that we want to monitor, right? Whether if by end of today, next week, can this 80 cents level hold? Can it be a firm new higher support that we are looking at for a potential upside or more interest returning back to this counter, right? Because I think if this level doesn't hold, then potentially I mean, of course, we will see price retrace, and the support level, definitely, I think it's very clear, will be around this 71 cents, right? I think this would be the support level that perhaps, some of you guys can set some price alert at if prices were to retrace back to that level. But I hope it is able to stay above this 80 cents, right? This 80 cents level, and then the potential upside targets that we are looking towards would be towards these 86 cents, right? About probably a 7.5%. Yeah, 7.5%. As previously, you can see right over here, right? This was where this level was actually tested multiple times as a resistance, right? Right over here, touch, came down, here neared it, never even touched, selling pressure come back already with all the long upper shadow, right? And so this 86 cents, I think this would be the next upside target on, the sell zone that potentially we could look at if prices is actually able to firmly hold above this 80 cents. So for Lihan's case, since you are already sitting on profits, right? You are already sitting on profits. And, one thing that potentially you want to make use of would be this trailing support function, right? So if I turn it on, as you can see, right over here, you say your entry price is 74 cents, about 74 cents. This trailing support, as mentioned by Joey and Bervin earlier on, this is a dynamic support, right? It moves as the price moves. If price go up, this trailing support will also follow and go all the way up, right? And as you can see now, this trailing support, I think somewhere is sitting around this 76 cents, right? And if prices is able to hold above these 80 cents and continue to head up higher, do you think that this trailing support, right, will also follow and go up higher? I would think so lah, because like what I mentioned, it follows the prices, it follows the prices as it moves up, right? So this is where you can actually make use of this trailing support, right, to actually protect your profits. Because now since you're already sitting on profits, right, and what you can do is you can perhaps set your stop limit order, right, and follow this trailing support as it moves up to protect your profits while you continue to ride the trend. And especially so, if prices is able to hold above these 80 cents, definitely I think we will see more interest returning back to this counter. And like mentioned, right, the potential upside targets that we are looking towards will be the previous resistance, right, at about the 86 cents, which is about 8%. But of course, you want to protect your profits in case if prices doesn't go up, right, it reverse, maybe after Chinese New Year, then no more interest in the gambling stock anymore. Everybody want to take profit and just, and just leave, right, and just leave. And then that is where at least you can still capture your profits, protect your profits, and also your capital as well. Okay, so essentially that would help you to have a risk-free trade lah, in a sense. Okay, so that is something to take note. But of course, again, same thing, earnings result coming out on the 24th of February. I think that is next week, right? Next week on Tuesday. So that is something to take note as well, because earnings, like as mentioned, right, it usually has a lot of volatility lah, and it can cause stock prices to either go up or go down. Okay, so for Lihan, I think make use of the trading support, right, and protect your profits, especially. So I'm not too sure how long ago do you buy, or like do you average down, or you hold very long already, but now definitely you are sitting on profits. You want to take steps to protect your profits as well. Okay, so that would be for Genting Singapore. Lihan, I hope that helps, and I will pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, good one on Genting. I mean, hopefully it holds above 80 cents. I think that's a very key level. All right, we are kind of like attempting to break it. Today, we're still above it. Let's see what happens next week. I think that will be very interesting. All right, okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next stock, and that would be, I would say, Keppel, right? I think who is asking about this? So guys, you can see that we have more than 60, 70 overstock. So same thing, very, very sorry if we cannot cover all of it. It would take like another 5-6 hours, all right? But let's do our best, right? Okay, let's take a look at this stock right over here. Herod, hope you're still over here. Morning, guys. Any thoughts on Keppel? BN4 is the code. Very good. You bought at $9, thinking of averaging up. So very good. You bought at $9. Now is $12.90. Wow, awesome. So you confirm make money already. So I think you bought around $9. I think around September that you bought, right? Not too sure whether you saw the bullish signal right over here, but yeah, we actually got a couple of bullish signals for Keppel. One of the stocks, as I say, we've been covering since like last year. Why? Because not only is a long-term trend up, but we also had a couple of bullish 1GT signals, right, appearing on my One Good Trend Pro indicator All right, you off it, it disappears. You on it, you can see it alerts us and guides us to get in. All right, and also to get out, like we see a bearish signal. But now, I don't see any bearish signal, right? You've got a bullish signal in September, even I think in January, as we began the new year, another one come back, and then it start to go up even faster, right? So it looks pretty good, right? And the thing is this, right? You bought at $9, thinking about averaging up. Very good, Harriet, because most people who have got it at $9, when you go to $10, they will sell already. Or go to $11, they will sell already. Or $12, they will sell already. But up to now, now it's what? Now $12.90, and you still never sell. Very good. And you're even thinking about averaging up. That means to buy some more lah. Awesome, right? That means you're in the right mindset, and that's, I would say one of the very, the very important key mindset of the one good trend framework as well. That means, when the stock is good, a couple of bullish signals, we don't just want to think about selling and getting out and then take a profit and then very happy. Not saying that you're greedy or not, but basically the stock can go up some more, then why you want to sell, right? I mean, you can also buy some more, right? Write it more, right? So that's the whole kind of like the mindset they want to adopt as part of the one good trend strategy. And right now you see that, well, long-term trend obviously is up. The green 20 days moving average line, if you ask me in November, December, I'll say sideways lah. All right. But as we began the new year, 2026, right? A bullish signal appeared, the green line also turned up, up. Is it still up? It's still up lah, right? So, long-term trend up, short-term trend up, bullish signals still in play. And let me turn on the trailing support level right over here. A very powerful feature of the One Good Trend Pro indicator, right? That just gives me the added confirmation. Are we above it, below it? How near are we, towards that trailing support line? Let's turn it on. You can see that this trailing support has popped up in April. When it popped out, it was below the price. It was like $5.55. Right? But as Keppel moved up, it also followed it up. Right? Why? Because it's a trailing support. It follows it up. Right? The more you go, I follow you, lor. Right? But don't follow too closely. Give it a bit of space, right? Give it some breathing allowance. All right. So as you move up, it follow from 550 now, follow until $12. Does it make sense, Are we still above it? We're still above that. In fact, right now, trailing support is about the $12 mark. So if we stay above the $12, I think it still looks bullish. It still looks bullish, right? There is some space given as well, right? We should have given it that it accounts for volatility. So as long as it stays above, this space that we've given it, right? It looks bullish still. However, if you were to go below it, we go below $12, then not so good lah. Right? That's why we will get what we call a bearish 1GT signal. Plus, if the green line also start to turn down, then even not so good. Right? But right now, don't have right? So it looks okay lah. Right? So I think that's the reason why you're still holding on to it. So very good. You got it at $9. You're holding on to it. If you're looking to get into average up, well, what you could do is to maybe think about getting in near the $12. Why? Because I say $12 is a trailing support, right? But doesn't mean you want to get in near $12 means it will go down for you to buy at $12 lah, or $12.05 or $12.10, right? Sometimes it will not come down, right? So that's one thing about stock market, right? It doesn't mean you want it to go down to buy, means you will go down and check if you buy it, not buy it. Okay, can I go up now? Then I go up. Okay, no lah, right? You might not want to come down also, right? So no choice, then you might have to buy a little bit higher. All right. And what would that be? Well, it seems like over the past one of a week, not even $12, I think $12.50, 12.50 over the past 4 or 5 days. Seems like some buying pressure is coming back already. All right. So it could be $12.50 to even that $13. $13 is a psychological resistance there. So near $12.50, that could be, I would say, a good entry as well on dips. All right, $12 might be a bit low, as I said. I really don't know whether you go to near $12, but near $12.50, I think that's where some bargain hunting could actually come back again. And if the $13 were to give way, that is where we could start to see the next phase of upside. Targets could be revised all the way to $14, maybe even to $15. All right, so this stock could continue. I mean, it's really continued from April to now lah. Bullish signals are in play. All right, it looks bullish. If the $13 gives way, next phase of upside could continue. And that's where the trailing support will continue to follow it. All right, and we're above it, good. Still looks bullish. Okay, again, so this is for Keppel. So what you can do, right, is that you could think about getting in, as I said, near the $12.50, near the $12 if it does dip. But more importantly, I think what Z has mentioned as well, right, is that you also want to have a plan, all right, Harriet, to protect your profits, because you got in at $9 there, right? Now it's $12.90. You confirm make money already. I mean, if you know what you're doing, I mean, if you take steps to protect your profits. But the worst thing is that, we get a bearish signal and then you hold all the way back down, now become $9, then you're back to the same price. Wow, then jialat lah, then you really very wasted lah. Does it make sense? So you should make money if you protect your profits. Does it make sense, All right, so this is like a no-brainer, right? You can just ride it, go up some more, you follow, you raise your stop loss upwards. So where could you put your stop loss? Very simple, Harriet. You could put your stop loss, all right? If I'm you, right, I'll put my stop loss below the $12, because $12 is a trailing support. That's why I've given it space, right? So you can put below $12 lah, right? You can put like below $12, so you can put like $11.90, 11 right over here. Just give it a little bit of allowance right over here. Something like that, right? So if it goes up even more, best. Then you can follow it up even more. So that's where you could raise. So now you put it below the trailing support. If it goes up, you follow, and you protect your profits tighter. All right, so that if it finally drops, or goes down and hit your stop loss, you get out and you still make money. All right, so that's how you ride the trend, or you ride a stock with confidence, right? No fear. All right, you can set an alert as well. So based on this 1GT Pro indicator, what happens, you can set an alert, right? So you can set an alert right over here. And I can see, right? So one good trend pro, buy or sell alert. Right? Buy or sell alert. So that's what we do, right? So whenever we want to be alerted, like, if there's any bearish signal, right? How do we know about it? Well, we could set the alert, right? So any buy or sell alert, any bearish red signal or green signal come out, we can be alerted. Does it make sense so far? All right. By app notification, an email also can send to me, all right? A pop-up, a toast notification. Right. So normally I would choose a toast notification, like a pop-up. So I wouldn't get so many emails. Last time I used to choose everything, then my whole phone will explode, right? So basically you can be alerted if there are any bullish or bearish signal, right? So that's how we could send an alert on this particular stock or any stock, any asset classes. All right, Ken. So this is Keppel. I hope that helps Harriet. All right, and let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next stock. Bervin?
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, let's go very quickly. Next, SC is thinking of getting in for Propnex. Is it a good time? Okay, let me just change up the screen right there. Okay, here we go. We have Propnex. I think definitely showing some signs of recovery. For sure, right? Previously, prices tested at $2.50 level, but very quickly saw sellers coming in, pushing prices below several support levels. All right, that 220 level previously broken, tested $2 for 1 day, broken again, went all the way down to close to that 180 support level. And then we finally see a 1GT bullish signal appearing at the start of this year. Then some signs of coming back in, and as of today, we're still in market break, but just before markets break, we were holding above that 220 support or resistance, now potentially turning into a support as well. All right, so I'm not too sure if this 220 SC is going to be able to hold up to the end of the day. So I think for now, because we are just starting to see the recovery, right? We still got that 100 days moving average still pointing down. 200 days is pointing up, but that 100 days is still pointing down. So I think maybe not today. Maybe you would like to see sometime next week or next Monday or Tuesday, prices indeed able to open above that 220 level. And that is where potentially you could be positioning yourself within, like say, a buy zone, maybe from 220 all the way up to 230. This could be a potential buy zone for you to get in for Propnex, because I think the next sign you should be looking out for would be the flattening out of that 100 days moving average and eventually having it slope up. All right, having it slope up. So I think for now, it is still looking not too bad, right? Still good. We still see signs of recovery, but just be aware the next upside is towards 250 first. And if we see selling pressure come in once again, you could see downside towards that $2 level once again. So using that trailing support, right, you can see that trailing support very close to that $2 level as well. This it's like what we call a confluence of factors. You want to pay extra attention to that $2 level. All right, have some alerts being set up below that $2 level. If you are getting in, right, you want to be a little bit more cautious. However, if you have a little bit of say tighter risk appetite or smaller risk appetite, if you're getting in above that 220 level, having a stop loss below that 220 level could work as well. All right, so as prices head up towards that 250 level, can expect selling pressure to pick up once again, as previously that was where we saw sellers come in. All right, so similarly, if we have a buy zone, we have a sell zone as well. All right, so if we see a sell zone right there, it's nothing wrong, I would say, to take some profits close to a sell zone or within that sell zone close to that 250 level, especially if you see selling pressure picking up time and time again. As prices head up to 250, selling picks up, you can actually get out with some profits first. Leave a little bit of exposure. Do not necessarily have to sell everything. Can leave some exposure and continue to ride the trend as long as it looks good. So I think so far for Propnex, good starting signs of recovery. Maybe a second 1GT bullish signal would be something we also want to look out for. I think just take some time and see next week. Monitor Propnex maybe Monday or Tuesday and see whether you can position yourself for entry within that buy zone. All right, so I think that is for Propnex. Hopefully it helps. I'll pass the time now to Z to actually cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Mervin. Okay, so let me move on to the next stock. Share my screen. Okay, so the next stock will be by John. John, I hope you're here. You're asking about this stock A04. I'm not too sure what it was, so I went to take a look at it. And you are looking to buy. Would be 30 to 31 cents be a good entry point, right? So maybe for those of you who are like me, not too sure what this ASL Marine is, right? Maybe I'll just take a look at the description over here, right? So I'm guessing it's something to do with like marine holdings on vessels or ships lah. But yeah, it's true. So this is engaged in provisions, vessel chartering. So shipbuilding, ship repair, engineering, ship chartering. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at ASL Marine right now, right? So John, you're thinking about buying. Okay, so for ASL Marine, right, when I look back, maybe not too far, like just 1 year back, right, maybe 2025, I think previously it was really a very, very boring stock, right? You can see like, well, not much movement one, and also seems like a bit illiquid, and it has just been kind of like, wow, heading sideways for so long, right? Only somewhere in August, that was when I think interest started in this stock, and that's where we started to see it move up, right? We started to see it move up, and uptrend is still intact, right? All three moving averages are heading up. And in fact, if the bullish signal already turned on, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 1GT bullish signal that is actually still playing out. So let me just see from the very first one to where we are at right now. Let's see. Wow, that's 500%. 500% since the first 1GT bullish signal come out, and there's 6 consecutive ones that is still playing out now, right? They're still playing out. So John is thinking about entering, right? Thinking about buying. No position yet. And where would be a potential good entry point, right? So first thing, we know that the trend is really good, right? Short term, longer term, all three moving averages are hitting up. So that gives you a tick already, right? Uptrend, okay, because we want to think about buying only in uptrending stock, right? So okay, uptrend intact, can. Then let's move on and let's see where should we potentially position ourselves for entry, because when we want to buy into an uptrending stock, we also don't want to anyhow buy, right? We want to buy near where? We want to buy near support, right? We want to buy near support. So when I take a look at this over the past, the price action since like, a couple of months back, you can see that from November all the way to the start of the year, right? Prices was actually always like testing this level. Let me just circle it for you, right? Can you see this? It was actually testing, I would say 30 cents. 30 cents would be what we call a resistance. November attempting to head towards 30 cents, but selling pressure came in faster, right? They faster want to sell already, right? Haven't even reached 30 cents, want to sell. December, again, right? Maybe a bit higher now. And haven't even reached 30 cents, also around the 285, want to sell already, right? Somewhere in the start of January, wow, price actually really touched 30 cents, right? And that's where sellers came back in again, right? Push the price back down. And then from January, middle of Jan all the way to, 20th odd of Jan, that is where this level 30 cents was tested multiple times, right? You can see that it touched this level multiple times, right? And eventually it broke above it, held above it, price selling pressure came in, push price back down, but now it tests this 30 cents as what we call a support, right? So it has essentially turned from a resistance to become a new support, right? And prices then rebounded from that 30 cents support, and now it's trading about 34 cents, right? So I would say that 30 cents definitely would be one of the support level, right, to take note of for ASL Marine, especially if you are thinking about positioning yourself for entry, which what John mentioned, right? Would 30 to 31 cents be a good entry point, which I would agree as well, right? Right here, near this support zone, right? Near this support zone, I think definitely this is one of the zones that we can potentially set price alert, right? Because that is near a support, right? So I think, John, don't have to rush, right? Because I think one of the worst thing that usually people do, right, is they see the price go up, then they FOMO, then they faster go and buy, then buy already stuck, then always say like, hey, why I buy already, then the price come back down, right? I think that is usually the case, right? So we don't want to FOMO, right? We don't want to FOMO. We want to be patient. We want to be patient, and we want to buy near support zone, right? So this, I think, around 30, 31, 30, like this 31 cents, right? I think exactly what you say could be where you can set price alert, right? To be patient and see whether price will actually retrace back to this support level, right? For you to position yourself for entry, especially so when we know that the uptrend actually still look pretty good, right? Still look pretty good. But of course, entering is one thing, right? The next thing is you want to know, then like that, where potentially could be my target, right? Where could be my target? So we can see that price was actually trading kind of like sideways within this range, right? I think can see that it is around this 24 to 30 cents, this zone, right? This was the range that it was trading at, right? So if I were to project it up, right, you see the upside target, right, that we are looking towards, or potentially the resistance where some selling pressure could return, would be around, I would say, this 36 cents, right? So the reason why, just now like what I mentioned, if let's say you FOMO, you buy now, you are buying very near to a resistance, whereby potentially that is where sellers could be at. And that is the reason why some people will say, hey, I buy already, then price immediately come down. Why always happen to me, right? So we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to do that. Okay, so now you know that potentially this is where the resistance is at, and that is where your potential buy zone is at. Then you can actually go ahead to formulate your trading plan. But of course, also have your stop loss in place, because everybody risk appetite is different, right? Do your position sizing properly, have your stop loss in place, and that is your trading plan whereby you can let it play out, right? So I think ASL Marine definitely still looks very bullish, and I think perhaps this is one that perhaps I could also add into our team watch list as well, right? And with 6 1GT bullish signals still in play, uptrend still intact, support is still valid right over here at 30 cents. I think this is one that we can potentially watch out for. Okay, so John, thanks for sharing, and I will pass over back to Joey to cover the details.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So I think we have gone on for more than 2 hours now, guys, right? Thank you so much for those of you who are still over here joining us. We hope that we have covered most of the stocks. I know there's more than 60 over stocks. We have covered a total of 12 stocks. I think what we could do, I think we can just go one final round. We do it very quickly, all right, before we go to the 3 bonus stocks that me and Bervin and Z will share with you at the end. All right? So 3 more stocks. I'll just pick one. I'll pass on the mic to Bervin and then Z will go on. Can we do it one last time, Bervin and Z? Okay, right? Okay, let's go. So I'll just pick one more. Let's do our best, guys. So as I say, sorry, I cannot cover all of them. Okay, let me pick one. I would say this would be the next stock, Hongkong Land, that is asked by Amos. I hope you're still over here. I think that was one of the first few comments that we got somewhere around 10:30, 11 a.m. like that. All right, so this is Hongkong Land. Good morning, Joey and team. Can review Hongkong Land. Bought some at $8.28. So now it's $8.48. Okay, still make a bit of money lah. $8.28 you bought. Now it's $8.48 right? Missed selling at this high a few days ago. Should I sell now to take some small profit or hold on for further upside? Very good question. Let's go ahead to find out. So I would say that for Hongkong Land, well, very quickly, I've already turned on my One Good Trend Pro indicator, right? Off, pump, nothing happens. Turn it on, there we go, clarity, all right? Are we getting any bullish or bearish signal? So you can see very clearly that we got a bullish signal in April, right? All the way up, and you got bearish signal. So when you get a bearish signal, right, then get out lah, take some profit, all right? You know, don't need to rush to get in. Be patient, right? You can see the green line also turned down. You can buy for what, all right? Then you see go down from $7, go down until $6. You go and buy at $6.50, you cannot start. Does it make sense about? Right? So we don't get in. All right. Then when we get in? We get in when we see a new bullish signal right over here. All right. And then the green line also start to turn back up. And there we go. Right. So I think for Amos, right, you got in maybe slightly higher. I mean, if you've got in like $6.50 or $7 when we got another bullish signal, that's the best right? Then you're confirmed sitting on more profits. All right. But in this case, maybe we got a bullish signal, we got another bullish signal, it went up even more, and then maybe you got in right around here as it was consolidating, which is okay, right? Which is okay. Let's take a look at the support level right now for Hongkong Land. So I would say right now, well, $8 would be a psychological support level, right? It seems like we have seen some bargain hunting over the past over month. Since January, you can see as we near it, buyers started to come back and they rebound. So $8 maybe to $8.10, but I think now maybe $8.20 over the past 3 weeks. Not even $8. I think $8.20. We have started to see a bit of some buying pressure already coming back right over here, right? The way you can see, right? So $8.20 would be what we call a horizontal support level, right? So that's a level whereby you could think about getting in on dips as well, right? If you want, because as I say, the bullish signals are still in play. The long-term trend is up. The short-term trend, it was up. Now maybe starting to flatten out. Look at the green line, guys. You can see that the green line, all right, it was up, right? Since like January, now maybe starting to flatten out, which is correct, which is normal because it is consolidating, right? So once we consolidate, right, the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend would actually flatten out. All right. And that's where, I mean, it could be a good opportunity as well to get in on this, or maybe to take some profit as well if you want, because when we consolidate, there would definitely be what we call a resistance level, right? A resistance whereby some selling is coming back. So what would that level be? Well, I think quite clearly this would be at about $9. Look at this, right? It was a pretty bearish candle, long upper shadow. Same thing, another bearish candle, long upper shadow coming out as we approach the $9. So near $9, I think about $8.80, $8.90, something like that. Then the selling pressure started to come back already right over here. So that it will be what we call the sell zone, right? So back to your question, right? Should I take some profit or hold on for further upside? Well, I think it looks okay, just that it's maybe consolidating, Amos, all right, from $8.20 to $9. So if you want to take some profit, well, if it does rebound a little bit to near $9 are there over here, right? 880 something, 885, 82, 92, 98, whatever, around here, you could also take some profit, right? Why? Because we may actually be consolidating for a while. I'm not too sure how long. It could be 1 week, could be 1 month, could be 5 months, could be 2 months, right? Nobody knows, right? So we could be consolidating. So you can take some profit, get out first, maybe pull back a little bit of the retracement, you get back in again at a bit of a cheaper prices as well, right? So that would be for Hongkong Land. So far, so good. The long-term trend is up. We got bullish signals. It's gone up. You got in somewhere a little bit higher, but as long as we stay above the $8.20 support or maybe $8 support, I think there could still be more legs to the rally, just that we are seeing resistance near the $9 for now. All right, I hope that helps. Amos, let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervin?
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so very quickly, next one. Styler, hi, welcome back. Sembcorp average cost at 3.76, so 20% of it at $6.90. Is it a good time to add? Okay, so you previously bought some, made some good profits. I would say $6.90 minus $3.76, over $3 of profits there. Sold some of it. Okay, still holding on to some of it. Okay, is it a good time to add back those positions? I think right now, definitely I think everybody's aware of that sell down from Sembcorp in August of last year. Haven't pretty much been able to recover to that level, but definitely we see the stock prices are pretty much been moving in a larger range. All right, between that $5.90 all the way up to that $6.60 level, about 70 cents range. So I think currently right now we are, nice Tyler, we are in between a temporary support of about 620. Previously it was resistance being tested. All right, previously before that it was a support as well. So I think right now we are in the middle of 620 and 660. Is trading about $6.60 We're right in the middle of that. So I think this is what I would like to call like a no man's land. So you typically do not want to buy right smack in the middle, as if prices move up, you don't have much upside. Prices come down, well, then your downside like a lot. So I think you typically like to buy closer, right? Maybe between 620 and 625. We're very close to that level. I think that is where there is sufficient need lah. All right, but if you look at the moving averages, 20 days moving average definitely showing signs of strength, right? We still have a 1 GT bullish signal present as well. But if you look at a 100 days moving average here, just started, I think last week, end of last week, started to slope up very, very slightly. All right, that 200 days moving average, I would say still pretty much pointing down or flattening out as well. So we got initial signs of strength, initial signs of that recovery. All right, but I think it doesn't provide a strong enough conviction to actually get it. So I think, Tyler, if you're okay to buy a little bit more expensive, wait for a little bit more confirmation first before adding back those positions. All right, could wait it out for a little bit more and set some alerts if prices break above that 660 level. All right, the 660 level, this was a level it's been kept under since October of last year. October of last year, we have not managed to break above this level just yet. All right, not even come close since then. Because why? The downside towards 590 still very much possible if 620 gives way. All right, if 620 gives way. So definitely, although now we have that trailing support. All right, trailing support right around that psychological $6 level. We want that trailing support to hit a little bit higher. Now you can see that the volatility is quite high for Sembcorp in the past few months. All right, that space between the price and that trailing support is quite wide, right? Wouldn't you agree? It's quite wide. So let the gap close up for a little bit. Get a little bit more stability, and perhaps you can either position yourself for an entry once prices have stabilized close to that 620 level, or if prices break out, I think above that 660 level, maybe to upwards to a 665, potentially that is where you can position yourself for an entry with more conviction or with more confirmations in place as well. All right, so that is for Sembcorp Industries. So I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the last requested stock before we talk about our bonus stocks for today. Z?
All right, thanks, Mervin. Okay, so coming to the last stock, right, for today before we move on would be from Alex, right? I think Alex at the top just now, let me see, where's your comment? At the top, you're asking about CNMC Goldmine and you provided your cost price. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, here. Okay, I think Alex, you're asking about two stocks, right? And then Goldmine as well. I believe it'll be CNMC Goldmine. You said you bought at $1.45. Okay, so let's take a look at CNMC, right? CNMC Goldmine, and let's decipher what are some of the levels that potentially we can take note of. Okay, let me just change my chart over here. All right. Okay, so I hope you guys can actually see my screen. Okay, so for CNMC Goldmine, before I dive in, I think I always like to put a disclaimer first, right, about this CNMC Goldmine. Every single time when people ask about CNMC Goldmine, I would like to say this first, because there's a lot of times whereby we speak to client and then people was thinking that CNMC Goldmine is a reflection of gold prices. Not exactly, because the thing is that for CNMC Goldmine, it does not track the gold price. Okay, it does not track the gold price. It is a company on its own that actually does gold mining and also other operational segments, such as lead and zinc concentrates. So it's not just purely about gold price. But of course, I mean, gold price do affect and could be a catalyst for this particular stock, right? But it does not track the gold price. Okay, just to be clear. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's dive into this CNMC Goldmine company, right? So for this CNMC Goldmine company, right, Alex, you mentioned you bought at $1.45, right? So as of today, price traded at it's trading about $1.38. So maybe sitting on a small loss, right? Sitting on a small loss. Okay, but let's take a look at some of the levels, right? But first thing first, uptrend for this counter, I think that it is still looking pretty much intact. Why? Because if I were to zoom in, I remove all of the drawings over here, you can see that short term, longer term, green, red, and blue are all actually still heading up, right? It's still heading up. And the 2-1GT bullish signal is actually still in play, right? It's actually still in play, right? But it's just that over here, you can see that I've drawn a couple of lines, right? There's green lines and red lines. Green typically, represents support level. Red represents resistance, right? So as you can see over here, since like last year, right, October, that was when, $1 is a very crucial psychological support level, right? That has been tested multiple times, right? And every single time when price reached that $1, buyers come in to scoop up the stock, right? And that is where this $1 is being supported, right? And then this was where prices actually traded sideways for a couple of months from November all the way to January, right? And then it started to show interest, like interest started to return back to this stock. People started buying, and buyers are willing to buy at higher prices, right? And that is where we started to see price head up. And this $1.20, right, previously was actually a resistance, turned to become a new higher support, right? And then price went on even further, right? Another 1GT bullish signal appeared, and price broke this $1.40 resistance, turned to become a support. But right now, what's actually happening, right? Yesterday, price actually closed above this 140. So by right, I should change it to a green, right? Become a support. But today, what actually happens? Right now, price actually closed below this $1.40. I don't know whether today will it go back up and recapture the 140. I'm not sure, right? But from what I know now is that it is indeed for sure testing the $1.40, right? It could be, the thing is that when price tests a resistance or a support, it could be testing for a couple of days. It's not just like a one-day thing. Sometimes it could be at that level for a few days, right? At that level, up and down, up and down, up and down. But the key thing is what we want to see is a firm break. And what do I mean by a firm break is that price is really able to hold above the $1.40 and not just close, then they come back down, then after go back up again, come back down. No, that's just testing, right? It must be able to firmly close and hold above the $1.40, right? And based on all these levels that I've drawn, right, you can see that the range that we are looking at is actually a 20-cent range, right? From $1 to 120, 120 to 140, 140 to 160. And that was where, we started to see selling pressure returning again, right? When it actually, attempted to break above 140 one day, 2 days, 3 days, then come back down again below this $1.40. Right now it's testing, right? So if prices is actually able to break and hold above this $1.40, the potential upside target, I think the resistance will remain the same. The targets will remain the same at the $1.60, this zone right over here, right? So if prices is able to recapture 140, I think for Alex, right, since you mentioned that, your average cost price or the price that you enter is about $1.45, nothing wrong, I would say nothing wrong for you to actually take some profits near the $1.60 resistance zone, okay? But of course, you do want to, make use of this, I would say, this trailing support function, right? Which is a very powerful feature whereby I think Joey has just now shared earlier on as well. And you can see when I turn it on, right, you can see that this trailing support, right, it follows the prices. It came down, but now this trailing support is just kind of like sideways, right? And it's very close to this $1.20 support that I've drawn. Because the $1.20 that I drawn, right, is static one, right? It doesn't move as the price moves, right? But this $1.40, it takes into account of the stock volatility. So perhaps for your case, since you're already holding on to a position, right, you want to think about your stop loss as well. I'm not too sure what's your position sizing or where's your stop loss, but if we actually see a 1GT bearish signal coming out, then that is where, you want to be a bit more cautious and perhaps reduce some exposure, because we don't want to hold all the way down and then prices could be breaking support level and not so good, right? Not so good, okay? So that is something, Alex, for you to actually take note of as well. And some of the levels that you can potentially set your price alerts at, okay? So that would be a very quick one for CNMC Goldmine. I think I'll pass the time back over to Joey so that he can share with you guys what's his bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you so much, Z. There we have it, right? We have pretty much almost come to the end of today's AMAS live session. We have covered, I would say, a total of 15 stocks, right? Let me just list all the stocks very quickly. Right at the beginning, I talked about the STI, right? The Singapore's Straits Times Index, right? So if you missed it, right, go ahead and watch the replay. If you're on my YouTube channel, even on our Facebook page as well, right? But the very first stock we covered that I did was CSE Global, all right? Number 2, IFast. Number 3, Cheong. ST Engineering, Tiong, Woon, Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. Sheng Siong was covered. SIA, Genting Singapore, or Genting Singapore. Keppel, Propnex, ASL Marine, Hongkong Land, Sembcorp Industry, and Z just covered CNMC Goldmine. So that is a total of 15 stocks. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. All right. We hope that we have given some value. You got some clarity based on the stocks we talk about. Now, let me go ahead to move on to the next segment, which will be the bonus Singapore stock that we would like to share with you right after we've gone through all the stocks that you are asking about. Right? In fact, some of those stocks could be what you guys were asking as well. That's why we did not cover it, because we'll be covering it at the end, right? So hopefully it's those stocks that you guys were asking, right? So the very first bonus stock I share with you will be this stock called Franken, all right? Right over here, let me just share my screen. Yes, so Franken, right over here, the code is E28, all right? And this is a stock that we like because, there is definitely some signs of the reversal happening, I would say, since the beginning of 2026. As I say, definitely one of the stocks that we've been sharing with our clients in Philips Securities. As I said, those of you who are client of mine in Philips Securities, check out WhatsApp. You're definitely getting this stock a couple of weeks back or maybe a few weeks back, all right? And Franken is definitely one of those stocks, right? Those of you who are not yet a client, you want to get those ideas faster by WhatsApp. Link is right in the chat. Team, just place the link in the chat again, right? In case I think it's like floated upwards already, right? So place the link in the chat. Find out how you can become a client to get some of those top ideas for free daily by WhatsApp, right? Much faster than the time it takes to do a live stream like this, right? By the time it might move up a little bit already. All right, Ken? So link is right in the chat. Okay, so this Franken, $1.90. So why do we like this stock since a few weeks back? Well, let me just go ahead and turn on the 1GT Pro indicator very quickly. Pump. There we go, right? So we have covered this stock, I would say, since last year, April, May. You can see, right? We got two 1GT bullish signals, April and May, right? Previously, we got bearish one, some bearish. Long-term trend was down. We probably would not buy in February and March last year, right? In April, yes, all right? Bullish signals, all the way up. I don't know how many percent. I mean, that would be probably about 58% in about 3 months. Pretty good, right? We got a bearish signal, get out, take some profit, right? So you can see went down. Same thing, another bullish signal went up a bit, bearish signal came back down. So it was pretty much consolidating, I would say, from July last year all the way to January this year, below a very key resistance level. And that level would none other be the $1.70. You can see, right? 170. Every time we near it, the next day we got bearish signal, Same thing, near it, then bearish signal, then down again, right? Every time we go 170, from July, August, December, always come back down. All right, we were pretty much below that key resistance level. However, over the past month, we got not one, not two, but three 1GT bullish signals. You can see 3 bullish signals. The green 20 days moving average line that actually sloped down in November when we got the 1GT bearish signal, right? Started to flatten out and it started to point up. And it seems like we are still pointing up right now, right? So it looks pretty bullish, right? Because the short-term trend is up. The long-term trend, look at the red and blue line, is already up since last year. It is still up. We got 3 1GT bullish signal. And the next thing is that we have broken the key resistance level that I talk about, the $1.70. Now it's $1.90. So this 170 would be what we call a new horizontal support level. So I could just put a green horizontal support line right over here. That would be for Franken, right? A new support level. But if I can turn on very quickly the trailing support to see what it says, well, it is somewhere right around the 170 level. So a little bit lower, right? A little bit more space, but you can see 170 would be a good support. If we stay above 170, this stock is poised for even more upside. In fact, not even 170. I would say that over the past 1 week, seems like 180. Buyers are already starting to come back out. We have seen what we call higher lows. So you can see this is the low, the lows. So over the past week, you can see that the lows are getting higher. What does this mean? Well, it means that buyers are out to defend this stock. They are not allowing it to go back down to the previous low. Go down a bit, they buy already. Go down a bit, buy already, right? Next day, go down a bit, they buy. So the lows are getting higher from more than a week back to now. That is a sign of strength, right? The only thing right now is we are capped below this resistance level, which is the $1.90. So 190 would be a very key level. The past 4-5 days, every time we go up, the next day sellers came back, push it back down. In fact, today the low was at 187, and then we push back up again. We are now at about 190, right? So it's just right there, 190, right? It's like right at the middle ground, right? Are we able to break the 190? Is buyers able to gain control, or sellers kind of like, winning the battle, right? So we are right there. So I think the next 1 week, 2 weeks will be very crucial if we can really break the 190 firmly. You can see I set some alerts, right? 192, maybe 193, 194, right? That is where if we can see some very firm bullish candlesticks happening above the 190, that is where we can see more upside momentum all the way to $2, even to $2.10. Okay, Ken, so this is for Franken. Bullish signals in play. Clients were alerted by WhatsApp. It looks good. It has moved up a little bit. Those of you who are not yet a client, find out how you can become one. All right, so you can get some of those ideas much faster by WhatsApp. And I want to answer one of those questions as well. I think, Vincent, you're asking about this. Is DLC similar to CFD? Right, so we talk about DLCs a little bit. Why? Because as I say, today's show is a bit different. It's the first sponsored. It's the first show that's sponsored by SocGen, right? That's kind of like the market maker for DLCs, right? And we talked a little bit about DLC. So DLC, in terms of what's the difference with CFD, right? So DLC is daily leverage certificate. It is a product. It's like a normal stock. There's a code you can find on any trading account. Type the code, you're able to find the stock, and the price is different from the underlying. It's way cheaper than the underlying stock, right? So it tracks the underlying stock. It's a multiplier of the returns from the underlying stock. So in a sense, there's a form of leverage there, right? That is DLC. It's a stock code that you can put. You can find the stock, you can find the DLC on any trading account. Now, CFD is slightly different. So just to be clear, guys, as a client of mine in Philip Securities, for those of you who are clients, just reach out to my broking team that you're receiving our daily updates and ideas, right? That's where my team will be able to send you some private training videos on CFD. I've prepared some special private CFD training videos. So you find a bit more on CFD, reach out to my broking team. My team will drop you a WhatsApp on this, members area whereby there's some private CFD videos and even like some in-depth explanation or walkthrough of how CFD actually works. But in a nutshell, let me talk about CFD. So CFD is not a stock name or a stock code or what, right? CFD is a account type, right? So if you're not too sure, you can reach out to my broking team. What happens is that you would have probably called a CFD account. All right, it's a tag on to like a cash trading account. So it's a tag on whereby it's account type, and there's a form of leverage. Basically, you can buy the underlying stock, but using a much smaller capital, right? So that's what we call initial margin, whereby let's say if it's like the contract value for, let's say DBS, right, is let's say $55. So 1,000 shares of DBS will be $55,000, right? But for CFD account, you need like 10% of that. That'll be like $5,000 in cash in CFD to open that position. So there's some form of leverage. So it's a bit, I would say, quite popular as well, all right? And the price is exactly the same as the underlying, right? The only difference is that it's a CFD account. You use a smaller amount of capital to open that position, right? So check it out. We do have some trainings for our clients. If you're not yet a client of mine in Philip Securities, as I say, click on the link in the chat. That's where you can get some of my top ideas by WhatsApp daily, and also some of our private CFD training videos that I personally recorded for you, just to make sure you understand how it all works and how to even begin. All right, so this is Franken, one of the stocks that have been my watch list since about a few weeks back. It looks good still. Let's see if you can break the 190, and that's where I would say targets can be revised even higher. All right, let me pass on the mic to Bervin to share his bonus stock for today. Bervin?
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so my bonus stock a little bit different from Joey. My bonus stock will be DFI Retail Group. All right, so previously we have also shared about this stock as well, and so far it's still looking good. It's still looking stable. It's a little bit more defensive. All right, so here we go. So I think for DFI, all right, since we last shared, prices have moved up a little bit. Not very aggressively. All right, broke above the 410 resistance level, $4.10 resistance level, gave way right now, turning it into a support. All right, this 410 level has finally turned into a support, and prices continue to consolidate in a higher range between that 410 towards that 420 level. So right now it was trading about $4.19. The trailing support right around that $3.97. So for those of you guys who have previously already gotten in for DFI, maybe sitting on a little bit of profits, want to protect those profits, same thing, just under that trailing support, place a stop limit order. All right, so you can see that the 1GT, there is only one 1GT bullish signal that had appeared in October of last year, where prices rallied. All right, so from that 1GT bullish signal right here all the way up to today, there is a 25% increase in price. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. The trend wise, it still looks pretty good, right? The green above the red, above the blue, definitely all three are pointing up. All right, so I have some alerts being set up if prices break above that $4.40 level, and if prices break below that 4.10 level. So for those of you guys who want to add, something a little bit more defensive, nothing, it's not really as exciting, this is a counter that could be potentially added into your watch list. But what's the downside? All right, what's the downside? If that $4.10 level gives way, I think you would find a temporary support right around that $3.85. And if that level gives way as well, I think downwards towards 360 is possible. This is why, even though it is a defensive counter, doesn't mean you don't need to have a stop loss plan, doesn't mean you don't need to have a trading plan. You would still need to have a trading plan in case prices U-turn. All right, so I think if that 440 level gives way, I think let's just call it right now. If we just do our projection upwards, I think upwards of $4.70 would be possible as well, but I do not expect a move up very quickly. I expect it to consolidate, move up higher, consolidate, move up higher. So it's not like it will not. Do not think highly unlikely that it will be moving up to $4.70 next week, next week. Unlikely. Maybe you need some holding period as well. All right, so I think that is a very, very quick one for my bonus stock. I think it continues to be on our team's watch list as well. If you haven't added to your watch list just yet, maybe this is something you can consider as well. Now I'll pass the time to Z to actually cover the last bonus stock for today. Z?
All right, thanks, Bervin. Okay, so I think we still have about 250 of you guys over here today. And if you guys realize, I think Joey actually covered ST Engineering. Is it ST Engineering?
Yeah, I think ST
Yeah, ST, yeah, the fourth one,
Singapore.
Actually,
Yeah.
Joey covered, Joey covered the fourth one already. So if you guys pick that up, right, then you will have known that today the stock that I'm going to cover today is not going to be ST Engineering. Okay, and the bonus stock for today that I would like to share with you guys would be Singtel, right? Singtel. So this is the bonus stock that, I think it still definitely looks good, right? Why? Number one, the trend, right? Just look at the trend. This, I would say, it's a very beautiful chart. If you just look at this, right? Longer term, up, right? Red and the blue, no problem. Short term here and there, I mean, time to time, there will be some sideways movement, prices move sideways, then go up again, sideways, go up again, sideways, go up again. And then that is normal, right? It's normal for short term to have volatility, go up, go down. But longer term, generally still heading up, right? And today, we actually see price break above the $5 psychological level, right? The $5 psychological level. And now price, I think, is trading at about $5.08, right? $5.08. So and I've already turned on the signals, so you guys can also see for yourself, right? So by the way, if you guys want to have to see the signals on your own, you guys can also, like what Bervin mentioned earlier on, try out the 1GT Lite trial, free for 14 days, by the way. So you guys can also see exactly what I see, the signals. You can turn on and off yourself. Okay, so with Singtel, we have two 1GT bullish signal that is actually still playing out. Plus, the uptrend for short term and long term still looks good, right? Previously, I mean, if you were to ask us back in, last year, right? That was when we started to see some short term weakness, right? Prices actually tested this 480 level, this 480 resistance, right? Selling pressure came in, push price back down. We got 1GT bearish signal. 20 days moving average is also pointing down, right? But longer term trend at that point in time, still okay, right? Still okay. But the thing is that we want to actually buy, like what Joey mentioned, right? When the short term and the long term is actually aligned, right? So that is where, you see, 20 days moving average starts to point up. We got 1GT bullish signal that actually coming up. Longer term and short term at this point in time is actually aligned, right? It's also not too late, right? It's not too late to actually get in by then, because that is where you will have more confirmation, right? That on the right side of the trend, right? So that being said, prices actually head up, tested the 480 and break above the 480, right? And I think during this period, right, I think over the past 2 weeks, this was where we start to see the struggle between the bulls and the bears, whereby, you know, they are testing the 480 lah, testing the $5, $480, $5, $480, $5. So it was like a struggle lah. I would say at this point in time, it was kind of like a struggle to see who kind of like will win, right? But right now, I think it's pretty clear, right? We got two bullish signal, prices actually open even higher than yesterday as well. And today's candlestick still look pretty bullish, right? So $5 previously was a psychological level for us to take note, because usually when we know $5, $6 psychological level, this is where typically sellers would be at, right? And that is where people would typically want to sell lah, and that is where you can see some profit taking actually happen, right? Which is indeed the case, right? Pullback, hit here, pullback, right? So $5 eventually it broke above, right? Today. So actually I should change this from a red to become a green, right? And hopefully we are able to see these $5 being able to hold firmly above for today, for the next week. And definitely if that is the case, potentially we might able to see upside towards the next target around 540. Then you might be asking, how do you actually get this $5.40, right? Simple. Let me show you, right? So this $5.40, it is based off the range that it was actually trading at previously. So you can see here was about $4 to $4.40, right? It was actually trading within a range from September, October, November, and then broke up above, right? Also, same thing, range about 40 cents, right? November, December, January, February, and then now we project it up from the $5 psychological level. I think the next upside targets potentially that we can look at would be around these $5.40, right? This $5.40. So for those of you who are thinking, I don't know whether some of you guys maybe already have positions in this stock, or perhaps maybe you do not have position, you want to position yourself. Potentially where you can position yourself would be around this level, right? This $5. But I think would be good for us to have more confirmation because today is only the first day that you broke out above, right? Perhaps the next week when you see that prices still able to hold firmly above this $5, then this is potentially where we can position ourselves for entry, right? Set your alerts, right? Set your alerts. And of course, that being said, our upside target towards 540, this could be our sell zone, right? This could be our sell zone. And then we got entry, we got target, right? Of course, we also got to think about our downside, manage our downside. What about stop loss, right? Stop loss, potentially, you can place, I would say, slightly below the support at $5. But if you want to give it more room to breathe, right? Perhaps you want to give it more room to breathe, you can place it slightly below the 480 as well. Because like what I mentioned previously, between the 480 to $5, that was when the bulls and the bears actually kind of like struggle to see who will win, right? So if you want to give it more space to breathe, perhaps you can actually also place it slightly below the 480, the support level right over here, right? But of course, do your position sizing lah. Do your position sizing because like what I've mentioned, everybody's risk appetite is different, right? It's different. Your account balance is also different. The number of shares that you buy could also be very different from person A to person B, right? So potentially that could be one of the trading plan that we could have, right? And as mentioned, trading plan is always very important. So those are some of the reference that you can potentially take note, right? But overall, I think for Singtel, definitely still looks pretty bullish at this point in time. 2-1GT bullish signal playing out. Uptrend intact. $5 support level still holds. Okay, so that would be for Singtel. And I hope that if you guys like this stock, you guys can also continue to monitor it and also put into your watch list and set your alerts accordingly. Okay, so yeah, that I think I'll pass the time back over to Joey to wrap up today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So there we have it, guys. A total of 3 bonus stock. The very first bonus stock that I shared would be Franken, right? Franken, I hope you like that stock as well. Put it in your watch list, right? We alerted clients to it, right? Bervin shared on this stock called DFI Retail, all right? And Z shared on this stock called Singtel, Singapore Telecom, right? Not too bad. In fact, I was looking at it this morning, Z, as well, all right? It broke the $5. you guys are to put it in your watch list. I think there could potentially be more upside, all right, if we hold above the $5 today or maybe up to next week as well, right? We would, I think these bullish signals that have came out over the past 1-2 weeks could start to play out even further. All right, so there we have it, guys. We've come to the end of today's Ask Me Any Stock session. Let me know, guys, if you got value, right? Type a V for value, guys. If you got value so far, you have learned something, we've covered your stock. Let me know, type a V for value. I just want to make sure that all of you gain something. All right, my apologies. The same thing, our apologies if you cannot cover all the stocks in in the chat. I did a quick count. There's 70 over stocks. All right, so really appreciate you guys, right, just sticking around. All right, value, let's see, right, let's just acknowledge all of you for typing value as well. Thank you so much, Dave, ABC, Kevin, value, Hikiang, thank you so much, good to see you here. All right, ABC, Simon, Zhenhua, Gloria as well, Michael, value. So glad that all of you got value. All right, very good, thank you so much. All right, and yeah, I'm very happy that you have joined us and stayed all the way to the end of this session. All right, so as I say, right, in many of those stocks that we covered today, some of the stocks that you guys were asking about, and even the bonus stock that we shared, right, we actually shared with our clients in Phillip Securities. So if you're a client, check out WhatsApp, you're probably getting them, right? If not, just reach out to me by email and get my team to check and sort it out, right? But if you're not yet a client, find out how you can become one. All right, the link is right in the chat. Place it, team, just place the link in the chat. It's probably hidden somewhere on top, right? Find out how you can become one to get some of those ideas much faster daily by WhatsApp, so you do not miss out. All right, you know exactly what stocks to focus on. So when we send out a WhatsApp message to our clients, there'll be a little chart, there'll be a little description. We'll circle a few signals here and there. All right, but it gives you some guidance, right? Especially if you're not getting any service from your own broker, right? Nobody send you any ideas, no video, no WhatsApp, no training, don't know who's the person. It's just like a hotline or something, right? Wow, please, click on the link, then you find out more and join many of our clients over here, and you will know the difference. You don't pay anything more, so much, right? So we think so much, okay, Ken? So that is what I want to say, all right? Make sure that all of you get value as well. I'm very glad that all of you type value, right? So Bervin and Z, anything to share?
So I think it is the Chinese New Year period, so I think maybe, but surprisingly, I would say this year's Chinese New Year volume in the normal trading days is typically higher than the last few years. So that's why I think the market is moving. All right, it's still moving. See, even today is what, Friday 2/4. Today is day 4 of Chinese New Year.
Today,
market has already started moving already. So I mean, like Joey always say, the market don't wait for anybody. All right. So if you are actually monitoring the market, maybe it's time. We shared some opportunities today. You got fellow audience as well. Also, sharing some of their stocks, some of their wins as well. Those are the stocks that you can potentially add on your watch list. All right. So I would just like to take this opportunity, to wish everyone and their family, all right, a wonderful Lunar New Year. 恭喜发财. Hopefully everybody have a year of good health and good wealth. All right. Z,
thank you so much. Z, any last wishes? I don't know, Chinese New Year blessings.
All those that I know will be 恭喜发财，万事如意，身体健康，龙马精神. I think that's about it.
Yeah, very good. All right, thank you so much. Right, so blessings to all of you. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year. I think this weekend is still probably some visitation for most of our audience over here. So have a good one. Catch up your family and friends. So 龙马精神, right? 马上发财. All right, hopefully this bonus stock will be 马上 good for you. Okay, and have a marvelous year. All right, and that's it. Thank you so much. Bye everyone. All right,
Thank you.
bye bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you guys again next Friday. Right, bye bye.